Hello. Hello, everybody. I am Caleb. Welcome back to the House of Shenanigans. We have exchanged one Elson or Melson brother for another. Uh, last week or last time we missing one. This week we gained the other.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. No! We got another one. Another end. Freeze. Everybody do his pose real quick.
Ladies and gentlemen, to the stream, we have lost one brother to gain another brother. Ladies and gentlemen, we have lost one brother, and we still have the other brother.
So last week we had two Lloyds. This week we only have one Lloyd brother. That's a bit of a problem since one of them is a GM. Let's see, what time is it? It's real late. I was like, let's get Lloyd Guy in. He lives in England, though. We could have 3 Lloyds. Nothing?
Oh, you know.
All right. We're killing it. And when Caleb comes back, I'll go ahead and introduce myself right now. I'm Roland Nilo, or Jim. I'm playing Roland Nilo, and I am the high elf that does not yet still feel like he's fitting into the group. Saw a lot of weird things in the last game, in the last situation, and left me a bit confused on really what's going on here. I have absolutely no idea, but as long as you guys are working together, I feel as though it's my duty to stay with you guys. Eric, you go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am the other Melson brother. Apparently, I was sick last time. Drunk something at the bottom of a cask that my brother dared me that I wouldn't drink, and by God, you don't challenge me. So anyway, I am Eric. I will be playing the dwarf paladin named Ulthane. Ulthane, whatever Clyde's, the other Melson brothers' last name is. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I was apparently my illness goes to the extent of I was sick and I'm back, and apparently the other brother who said he could tank the green stuff at the end of the bottle, he lied. He can't.
Very good. And I'm Matt, and I will be playing Jules today. And after last time, where there was a lot of deception from the person that hired us, he completely deceived the group and was behind his own thefts and his own business. Because of that, and because of a few other things back in town that are behind the scenes, Jules has become very obsessed with the truth. He is going to great lengths now to suss people out and make sure that he knows what's going on. And he's been getting into people's heads more and more. And this is starting to have a bit of an effect on Jules's state of mind. The more he peers into other people's minds, the more it sort of twists his own grasp on reality. He isn't going insane, or at least not yet, but his personality is shifting very, very slightly towards someone who is more comical rather than someone who is more, I guess, serious. Usually Usually Jules is straight up and serious, or he has been to this point. But it seems that he has developed a knack for crass humor in the last few weeks. So that is Jules. He is at least he was an interior designer, and now he affects people's minds by peering in and communicating with them, which is quite curious.
Oh, you know you still do it. It's just in your downtime.
Yes, and last time we, as a group, as I was saying, we were hired to find some missing machinery, and the person that hired us happened to be behind the thefts. We found out a great deal of things. It seems that this man had hired some bugbears, I believe they were. Is that correct, Jim? Bugbears?
I guess you could. One of them is certainly a bugbear. The other one is could be a bugbear, I guess.
Yeah, there was lots of changing of forms going on.
Dat Chang, though.
Which was very strange. Yes. So we had a dog that could change into a humanoid, and lots of fur everywhere, golden fur. But we did eventually discover the truth. But that did not stop all of the bad guys from escaping, because they had an escape plan, which was these little, I guess you can call them boxes, right? And they threw them sort of on the ground, and they made the holes, interdimensional holes where they could jump in and vanish to another plane. Hence making their escape. Roland, I believe, is the one that saw the actual man himself, Mr. Ackley. Jumping into that because of, and you very, very narrowly survived, I believe, is what happened.
Very narrowly. It was strange that it's the part that really threw me off the most, is that he was looking at me almost with sincerity saying, "You need to leave," as he was planning on destroying the dam, as if he didn't want to destroy me.
Destroying the dam is a very big deal for those that were tuning in or not tuning in. The dam was holding back this massive amount of water, and opening it up will pretty much decimate the farmer's market and all of the land nearby. So that's going to be pretty crazy, I imagine. Leave a lot of wanton destruction.
Let's see. What'd you pick up? You picked up the book? I picked up the
book, yeah.
Ticket.
Yeah, so we all got a special reward by the Heroes Guild.
Not just the Heroes Guild, it was
specifically, yeah, Greg, yeah, that's right. And yeah, he gave us our due reward, which was just some cash, but he also had specifically sourced some very powerful magical items which he had on display in his room, and he allowed us to choose an item for ourselves, and so we did. It was awesome. Jules has chosen a Hero's Handbook, which is a book that contains entries of various creatures that the guild has successfully dispatched in the past, and he's able to glean some information from this book as to when he comes across things that perhaps he doesn't know much about. He can look into his book and see whether there's information about them, which is fantastic for him. So he's very excited about this, and he's able to fill in new entries even, as there's always a blank page at the end where he can fill in new entries when he comes across something that even the Heroes Guild hasn't before.
Cool.
All right, so that was the first shenanigan, apparently, was my internet kicking out. Excellent. All right, so, yeah, kind of it sounded like you maybe gave a brief descriptor of what just happened last time.
A little one, yeah.
Sure, yeah, I would like to retcon that the last thing Roland saw before TPing out of there was this ravine filling up and this figure down in the water, strapped in leather with feathers poking out. You can tell that it was Wabbit, but he is just floating on this enormous watermelon.
I'll take it. Oh, so we didn't explain that. So while we were when we first arrived to the valley, we came across this farmer's market, and
Gardain
saw a watermelon that was larger than him, and he purchased that thing. And then there was a bunch of sturges, and we tried killing a bunch of them, and they stuck me pretty good. and we met Wabbit. Wabbit was an Aarakocra who was swinging in with a hook shot, shouting, "Yoinks! And away!" It was pretty great. Wabbit is a bit harebrained, and so after all of the dam breaks, one of the last things that Gardain said was, "I left my watermelon." He finally realized it after we'd all gotten out of there. So seeing Wabbit holding on to this giant watermelon floating down, that's great.
Yeah, so it's been a little bit. Let's say that it is maybe like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You guys had your training session already this morning, and you guys are kind of in rec time, as it is generally called. You may not all even be on site. So give me what's going on right now from you. And let's start with Jim, because he's not muted.
Right now, I feel as though I need to get some work done. I have I'm attempting to keep myself busy. I have looked through the noosphere, and I have found the knowledge necessary to sew. So now I've taken off my shirt, or my I guess my shirt, and I am stitching patterns into the sleeves. Right now, just trying a basic diamond pattern to get used to this new tool.
Are you at the Heroes Guild?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I have not. I've not necessarily seen a lot of people that are far away, or at least what I consider far away, that leave and come back at the drop of a hat. So I'm a bit nervous that if the group needs me, I'll not be available. So I'm unfortunately sitting around keeping myself, making myself available.
Very cool. Let's see what Jules is doing.
Yep. Jules is in West Rock right at this second. He has heard from Esmeralda that there is a corrupt official somewhere in West Rock, and they have basically seen a number of things that have not added up, and they've investigated it, and they believe quite firmly that there must be this corrupt official. They don't know whom, but they believe it to be. And Jules, with his new obsession with the truth, is trying to help his friends out and the townsfolk out by uncovering who this corrupt official might be. And the way that he is doing that right at this moment is that he has broken in to the Office of Records, perhaps the cellars that no one ever really goes down to, filled with musty tomes, things like that. And he has broken in using skills that he has almost forgotten, but Esmeralda has been calling upon these skills again, and so he's starting to remember these skills of breaking and entering, and less legal ways of obtaining information. But the only reason that Jules is doing this is because we all believe that there is this corrupt official, and he desperately wants to know who it is so that we can uncover him or her and expose them to the law.
Excellent. What about Ulthane?
Well, considering he's just got off from being sick, he is just now hearing of this corrupted official. But if there is corruption, and they tricked his brother in particular, which he knows his brother is a very kind-hearted soul and would only do things if it meant good things. But if someone manipulated his brother, that already aggravates him and makes him mad. And to know that it was for even worse means further aggravated him. And I share in the pursuit of wanting to do right in this matter. So, yeah.
That is a surprise. That is a surprise.
That's cool.
Okay.
Yeah. I would definitely figure Ulthane here would probably be one of those like out front attention grabbing types, to try and realize that this is sort of a tandem thing, not only with, and as you would have found out over the last 3 weeks, there has been a stirring in West Rock. That, hey, you know, there's never enough good being done. So Esmeralda has actually headed the creation of its own hero guild that is based out of West Rock. That, you know, it's more of a, it's still going out and, you know, saving the day and helping those who can't help themselves and things like that. It's just not as consistent. And obviously, the Heroes Guild doesn't have a problem with you helping out as long as it doesn't interfere with, you know, what they're trying to do. There's no punishment or anything like that. So you guys are more than welcome to go help out, especially because it's been slow. So I would say that, you know, working in tandem with this little group, Ulthane being kind of one of those front men, that definitely is makes sense here. So would we then assume, Eric, that Ulthane is not at the Heroes Guild?
Most definitely.
Okay. Cool. So then the first thing that would happen would probably be, would you say you're out in a common area, Roland?
Sure. Sorry.
Cool. Yeah. So the first thing that would happen then is your buddy, your best friend in the whole world, Craig, comes strolling up, and he sees you. It's always Craig. It's always Craig. And he walks up and he's like, "Hey, what are you getting into? That looks real good there, bros."
Thanks, Craig.
Yeah. You know, if you understitched on this side, you could give that illusion of sort of that pointless diamond. I don't know if that's what you're shooting for, but you know, that might be something to consider. I mean, you know what you're doing, right?
Would that be more pleasing?
It's not more pleasing. It's just different, man.
And I will switch. I won't go back and undo anything, but I will change my stitching to Craig's suggestion now. So I've got literally one sleeve that's all closed diamonds, and then from about the elbow up, it just turns into open diamond or open pointed diamond patterns.
And he watches you, you know, do once or twice around, and you know he's kind of helping and guiding and stuff. And he says, "Sweet, it looks good. Have you seen Gardane? I got something for him."
I haven't seen Gardane.
Oh, well, I bet we can all figure like where he's at though, right?
No, where?
Well, it's a joke. You don't think he's in the tavern, right? Like that's usually where we find him.
Why would he be in the tavern?
He likes to throw back some cold brews, bro.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Cold
Yeah.
brews.
Cold brews, bro. Okay. I'm gonna go find him. I think there is something coming down the wire for you. And anyway, I'll let you get to it. I know. Don't forget to keep practicing that under loop, that under stitch. And he reaches up for a high five. It's like, yeah, stitches, bro. And he just turns and kind of heads off towards the tavern. Shortly thereafter, an attendant, and you see these guys, they're just kind of the staff. They're just kind of walking around a lot of times. But one of them walks over, sees you, kind of nods, and drops a sealed envelope kind of on your table. And he says, "For you, Master Roland." And he leaves.
I'll put down my stitching, rip off the end, blow into it, pull out the letter.
As you pull it out, it almost is like the slide of a trombone. It makes this somewhat musical sound, and you open it up and you see it, and the parchment, which folded looks standard, when opened, it's now got this like gloss on the back of it that it's metallic with like the rainbow slurs, and the paper itself looks like it's moving. And there are what is it, 3 words? Yeah, 3 words on it. And those 3 words say, "You are invited."
Oh, good. Hey, and he's gone. Fine.
So back in town, if you're cool with this, guys, what I would like, or what I would think would happen is, I would think that you guys are kind of rock stars, big fish in a small pond. Let's put it that way, because you guys have gotten the call. You're in there kind of needling with maybe a set of tumblers or a pick and a file or something, and you're working on one of these locks, and you hear it clicks, and the let's say it's not a cabinet, what would you call it? There's a big, I don't know, double-doored piece of furniture that kind of opens up, and you see inside are crates, and on these crates are stacked papers, and then there's one that's missing. And it's obviously missing because there's a crate on each stack.
Right on. So cracking it open. I have a look, see the situation. Are the crates labeled at all?
No, they're not.
Yeah. I turn to this paladin and I say, "Just store that away, will you? Store that away." And I'll grab another one of the crates, down, carefully remembering where it was, and how are they sealed, or are they just sort of open?
These are open. The door
Yeah.
was locked for sure.
Was locked,
But these
yeah.
are open.
Sure. And I'll just go through the titles of things, grabbing a stack of papers at a time, just flicking through the small stacks, looking for whatever pieces of information I can find, whatever sort of catches my eye.
Yeah, probably the main thing that catches your eye is that as you're cycling through these, you realize that they're in alphabetical order, and there are even tabbed sections showing you, like, you see the letter D towards the front, and the first couple start with C, and as you work your way back, you see E, F, and G.
Right. So turn it over, just enough to on an angle to show him what we're up to, and point to the next box for him to, or next crate for him to go through while I'm going through this one.
Okay. I assume you're talking to me, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I take a crate, do the same thing, crack it open, and see what's inside.
Yeah, and the one that you got, it picks up
right after moving on down alphabetically. This one ends at J.
I look at him. I says, I have a feeling like looking at one like right below it. I says, so if his started, what does mine start with? What letter does mine start with, and what does it end with?
So the first ones that you see are the letter J or G, and then it goes H, and it ends in J.
Okay, so it's G to J. Huh. So by that math, which box is missing?
So that it's fairly easy. You can kind of pull the two around it, and you see where they start and finish. And it is Q, R, and S.
QRS. Okay. All right. I'll make a note of that.
And so everything when you stop and you're kind of reading through, you see that it's a brief description on a lot of proper nouns in the city, people, places, and things, set alphabetically. Not every person is cataloged by any means, but you can kind of tell that that's what this is. I would even say in the box that you had, you probably even happened to find a sheet on Esmeralda.
Oh. Well, Jules wouldn't look into Esmeralda too much. He trusts her pretty much completely. He'll just like skim it, right? Like not even pausing. He's been with her on any exploits, pretty much.
Sure, yeah, and it's a real brief, just kind of dossier on her. It's got her name. It's got known whereabouts, known hangouts, people that she is known to hang out with, and at the bottom, it says it says magical question mark, and then underneath it you can see it's actually a recently added line, and it just says Upstart New Heroes Guild. But as you're kind of sorting through the rest of them, some of the people you may know, some of the people you may not know. I would say maybe even Ulthane, you might, quickly run over to the U's, but you're not in there. And if you checked for your brother, he's not in there. And
he kind of chuckles at that one.
In there either.
Oh. If these are files, why is it that I'm not here, nor is my brother? And I look at Jules and I goes, Jules, you're not even in here.
Maybe we're not important enough yet. I know you ain't. and I laugh just like crassly.
I look at him. I go, look here. I still might suffer from a little bit of that of my sickness, but I can still hold your head under the water until the bubbles stop.
Just don't pass it on to me. I don't want any of that. Look, Jules yeah, Jules will check for two things. On Esmeralda's file, he'll just check to see if he can see at a glance whether any reports or anything that's written on there is positive or negative. And if it's negative, he'll probably write something and cross it out and make it positive. And then he will look for Krieg under K.
So, yeah, on Esmeralda's, the only thing that maybe could possibly be construed as either positive or negative is a comment about the way that she dresses, and it just
I cross it out and say impeccably dressed underneath. Totally doing that.
that is a matter of pride for you.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so you find you can definitely cycle through and find Craig. He's there. A lot of the names have first name, last name, and maybe even people who you met, or you're like, oh, we've always gone by, I've always called that guy Williams. I didn't realize his first name was Tony, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But Craig, it is in quotations, and it just says Craig. And underneath it, again, in quotes, it says, the bravest of them all.
Bravest of them all. Cool.
And the last thing that it says on there, and you've seen this on a couple of people's sheets, but it really hasn't popped out. But this one is underlined, and it says 0 threat.
0 threat. Huh. Is the hand that's writing all of these records, having now seen a few of them, all the same, or are they different hands?
The thing you can tell is it seems like the crates, or maybe by extension the letter sets, like maybe someone was given F through P or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
But not all of it is the same, and sometimes the amendments and the add-on lines, they could be slightly different. But if you were to really break this down, you would think maybe that's just a rushed handwriting. You really wouldn't think much of it.
All right. So one thing that I do want to check is Q element. So I would look at the handwriting of P, like up to P, and I would look at the handwriting of T and after, and I would see if the handwriting of up to P, like just the 2 before P and the 2 after S, are the same, to see whether it's changed hands between P and T.
It has. It has. Yep.
So did it? Okay. Did it change at the end of P and at the start of T? Like, so that QRS is obviously all the one hand, or is there a change in the middle?
So since you're looking specifically at this, you realize that the last P name that you see is a man named Pyle, P-Y-L-E. And the first T name that you see has the little tab for the start of T's, and there are no previous S's.
Yeah, because QRS is missing. Yeah.
Right. And so maybe this could be the first and only box that, if you look through them all, actually starts with a letter and ends with a letter. Like it completely encompasses Q, R, and S.
Okay, so that's of note as well. Completely encompasses. Okay. These letters. All right. Well, I would point that out. Just in hushed tones to Ulthane and say, "What do you make of this?"
He says, well, there's other files missing as well, and like he's looking over them and he's like, pointing like this is A, B, C, D, all that, just, running through all of it. And then he goes, QRS is this box here and it's missing. So I'm almost certain anybody that's gotten to this first, which I'm almost sure they have, because if this box is missing, I'm sure they took everyone out that they would want, because obviously someone's got here way before we have.
I say, well, I don't think you should jump to too many conclusions. Maybe their process is that they take the whole box when they're making an adjustment, and then they bring the whole box back. I don't know. Let's go find that out. And so my next point of business would be to find out how records are kept when they would take boxes away, or if they only would ever take individual files and then put the individual files back. I don't know how I'm going to get this information, but that's something that I would be interested in learning at some point. And knowing that we'll probably get caught if we stay here for too long. I've obviously got the information that these ones are missing, and that would really spike my interest, and I would take this information back to Esmeralda and the others as a point of interest.
Cool. Yeah. So
I would put obviously everything back exactly the way we found it as well, as much as I could possibly. Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna attempt to relock the lock and everything.
I would.
Okay. Make, what is that? You would just make a dex roll with proficiency as your
Sure. Yeah.
these
Just
tools.
these tools check. Yeah. To relock it. I'm at a 16.
Cool. Yeah, you can get that thing locked. It seemed pretty standard. Government issue even. But yeah, so you guys find a way to kind of slink out of there and get back up topside, because this was kind of in the bottom of the Hall of Records. And as you guys are coming out, you see Esmeralda's kind of standing off to the side trying to be inconspicuous, and she sees you and she kind of pulls the front of her hat and she takes it off, and she just kind of runs her hand through her hair, puts it back on, looks over at you, and then kind of walks off in the direction where her little organization or community has started to kind of come together. And you know where it's at, so you could easily follow.
Yeah, I would do the reverse block back.
Awesome.
Just in case.
What are you doing, Ulthane? You know where it's at too.
Okay. Well, that ain't much for like being all stealthy and stuff, because armor kind of makes it hard. So he just bluntly just follows.
Very cool. And so you guys get back. Let's see. What would we call that? So there is one of the, and Jules, you would know her, Harrelane. You actually were told of Harrelane's mighty deeds by one of the table dancing, screaming drunkards the very first night. But you're essentially meeting at her house because she has a large open room with a couple of smaller rooms. So it's definitely ideal for a group setting. But kind of as you walk in, she's standing by the door, and she was the leather across the front, kind of forward fashion, but kind of roguish style. And as you guys kind of come in, Ulthane, you first, she kind of points at a little side table, and on it is an envelope, and it's actually stacked on top of another envelope. And then a couple minutes later, Jules, you come in, and she does the same thing.
So she's just to a side table where there's an envelope.
Yeah, it's just on the other side of the door.
Check it out.
Yeah, once you guys kind of both have them there, Harrelane walks over and she says, "Yeah, a couple of guys from the guild walked down and dropped these off. Said they were looking for you."
Well, thanks, Harrelane. We'll take it from there, and I'll would I by now have an idea of whether I can trust Harrelane? Like, I would imagine that everything that I know says yes.
Yeah, by proxy,
Unless you wanna
since
make-
Esmeralda is very. I mean, Esmeralda trusts her completely. So by proxy, you probably would too, unless you personally make that character choice.
All right. I don't want to make too big of a deal about it or take too much game time. So I'm just going to say that I do at this point, unless something happens. So I would just briefly surmise what we found down there and ask her to pass it on to Esmeralda, since we're probably being called upon by these letters.
Cool. Yeah, she kind of nods, concerned a little bit, and then walks over to Esmeralda, and you can see them kind of talking to one another, and she's given Esmeralda all the details.
Right on. And these letters, let's take a look in there, see what's going on.
Yeah. So how do you? Let's say, Ulthane, you got yours first. How did you open the letter?
Like a man going after beer. Not very. Like he just rips the it's sort of like it's all delicate and everything. It's just like he just grabs it, just rips it open, just.
Yeah, as you're kind of you rip it, and part of it kind of comes off early, so you rip another part and it comes off early, and you finally get the last one. But every time that you rip it, it's almost like a violin string. You know, it kind of makes a harsh sound, like a ow, 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 as you get that thing open, and finally you pull it out, and you open it up, and you kind of see this metallic swirling of, you know, rainbow colors offset by this gray and black tint. Yeah, I mean, it just feels like paper, and on it, it says, "Won't you join us?"
The guy just looks at it like it's a fancy invitation for a simple question. And you know, he's like, how do I, like, he's just like to himself, he's looking at it almost like it's a foreign object. You know, he's just like, hello? He's like, yeah, I'll join you.
And the rest of the kind of scrambled together heroes group that's gathered here goes, yeah. What about Jules?
I would just find a quiet corner where, like, a little table there and a chair, and I would just sit down and just quietly open it to myself.
Yours, when you pull it out, since you're kind of being delicate with it and everything like that, you pull it out, it actually doesn't make a sound. When you open it, though, you hear this drum roll seem to emanate from the note itself, and then finally go, and as soon as the symbol hits, what was blank gets that metallic look on the front of it, and on it you have coordinates.
I have coordinates. That's all there is. So there's a drum roll and then there's coordinates written down.
That is correct.
Yeah, I would look at it. I would, like, turn it over, like, look at the back, turn it back over. I would, like, roll it up and roll it back out again, and, like, you know, fold it, see what different things there might be. And when there's, like, nothing, I would look over to Ulthane and see if I can catch his attention, and I'll just be like,
Well, thing, you know, like, still kind of trying to, you know, figure out this, you know, kind of looks over at it like, do what now?
and I'll go over to him, sort of go, I don't know what's in your letter, but mine mine's kind of odd. Yeah, there's coordinates here. Don't know for what. Do you know what's going on? What's in your letter?
Jose looks at me and goes, "It asked me a question." Like he just literally just shows him the letter. It asked me a question.
Hey, you guys realize looking at each other's letters, it just looks like a blank piece of paper.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he can't see my coordinates, and I can't see his question. And I look at him and go, "Well, I can't see it. What question?
Is it? Am I in? That's what it said, right?
Won't you join us?
Oh no. He says. It says, "Won't you join us?"
Won't you join us? Huh. I closely examined the coordinate, the text of the numbers of the coordinates, and to see whether I recognize the hand that made them.
As you're sitting there trying to think about it, the coordinates change by 1 degree.
What the hell? I will go over to back over to here or Esmeralda and Buddy and sort of go, who delivered these?
It was 2 of the men from the stockade.
2 men from the stockade. Do you know them?
It's their couriers. I mean, they were dressed like their couriers.
All right. Well, this is mighty weird. I guess we'll find out what it's all about. I might be gone for a little while. We might be gone for a little while. There's nothing pressing for us, is there?
Not now. I think what we're going to do is take what you gave us, and we're going to plan our next move. So you've been invaluable. Thank you for your help.
Oh no, you're mighty welcome. I want to bring this corruption down, just like you do, and I'll do whatever it takes. And I'll head back over, and I say to Ulthane, well, I don't know what's going on or why these things are delivered, but apparently they were guild people, and well, I don't know what they mean. But I reckon we either head back to the guild or we go to these coordinates. But I don't know whether I just want to go there without help. I don't know if our other fellas got these. I think we should check in first. And I sort of asked for his opinion.
Well, we could. Do we know if the guild has anyone they could that's good at directional with coordinates in particular?
Like someone that might look at those and know what they mean, like know exactly where they are. I don't know. Would I know anyone like that?
You may not know specifically who it is, but you would have to imagine that with their amount of resources that they have, somebody would probably be able to help you.
Yeah, I would just spiel off and say, look, don't know specifically, but someone's bound to know where it is.
Well, Ulthane says, well, considering I don't know, you don't know, let's go to someone that might know. A might beats nothing.
Sounds good. Yep, so we'll head on the road out back to the guild.
Let's tread to the guild.
Yep.
Perfect. So you guys are headed back. Roland, you've got these sleeves now, and I would say that maybe, and don't let me make this decision for you, but I feel like you're proud of it, You know, it was your first try, but you did a lot, so you got good practice. So maybe around the last shoulder, it's really, really fine detail. And so now you're kind of walking around showing off your work.
Cool.
And Gardane would actually walk over to you, and he's got a mug in one hand, and he's got this unfolded letter in the other hand, and he kind of shows it to you as he's taking a drink, and he's, you know, kind of shrugs like, "What do you think?"
You got one too. Well, I don't know where I'm invited to. What does yours say?
And he just kind of looks at it and he shows it to you, and you realize you can't see it or you can't read it.
There's nothing on your note, Gardane.
And he looks and he puts it down and he starts breathing heavy and he holds his hand out, and someone walks by and takes the empty mug and puts a full one in it. And he sits there and he starts to say something, and he looks at you and he's like, "Well," and he starts drinking again, and Craig walks up behind, and you guys are sitting there with your letters like side by side, and he walks up behind and slides his up in the middle, and he's sitting there with one too, and he's like, "Check it out, guys. We're going." Wait, are you guys not going?
I'm invited.
You're invited? He said he was invited. I found him in the tavern. He said he was going somewhere. And then I got one of these too. But yeah.
Where you going, Greg?
Well, I don't know. It just says we really don't know anything about this.
I haven't received any kind of work invitation before.
Oh, bro. So the way that this is an invitation, it's like to a party or something for sure. Like, we're going to get mad crunk. Sorry.
Is that an orc?
Yeah, it probably is, dude, but that's not what I meant. We're going to a party, and maybe it's like some sort of secret party where you can't see mine, I can't see yours. That all seems pretty straightforward to me.
Well, how do I... All right. So I am going to spend some time with this note and use a power. Yeah.
How much time do you need?
I'm not sure if this power is the one that requires lots of time or a little bit of time. Yeah, I don't think this is it. Yeah.
So you're going to spend 0 time?
0 dimes, yep.
He says, cool. So, I mean, if we all got invited to a party, they're not just going to not expect us to show up. Surely somebody knows where we're going. I think we should probably go down, see Big Cass, and let him probably give us an idea where we're going. Uther, Big Cass, you know. Look, I'm just trying to help you out. You can't fix stupid.
Okay. Well, then let's go see Big Cass then.
All right. I don't call him that to his face though, right? Because he really hates that. Let's just stick with Uther.
You're the first person I've heard call him that.
Yeah, let's and he looks over at Gardane, who's just now he's just double fisting another, somehow he got a third full beer and he's just drinking it, unable to talk, of course. He's like, yeah, he wasn't paying attention, so it's cool. Let's just not say it again. Okay. And he kind of just leaves without any sort of response. He just walks up. He takes 4 or 5 steps and he stops and he turns around and he leans in to bump Nux. Sweet. And he turns back around and keeps walking. And about the time that the three of you get to the front where the elevator is down to Uther's location is about the same time that the guys would walk through and be there. And you would see them probably, either have the note folded in their hand or maybe sitting there looking at it. Both of you, each of you would see the other for sure.
As soon as I see the others, I'd grab the note, the letter from my pack, and just be like, "You get one of these?"
Yeah, Craig did too. We're supposed to go see Big Uther.
Right. We're meant to go see Uther. Well, did someone's letter say that? Because mine's we've got different ones, and I can't see his.
No, that's what Craig said. Said it's a
Oh,
party.
Craig said that?
Yeah,
He
Craig said that it's probably a party, and we're going to get we're going to be like mad ogres, orcs.
Right. I don't.
You can just see Craig hand and face palming like, oh god, I got a lot of work to do with this one.
I don't trust it, Craig. But yeah, let's go see what Uther says.
And kind of right at this time, you hear the firing mechanism of Bravo's armor, and he essentially kind of comes and lands down beside you, and he holds one out and he says, "You guys here to see Uther?" And he kind of holds his letter up.
What the hell is going on around here?
Says, I just got one that says, go see Big Cass.
I'm looking back and forth real quick between Craig and Bravo. Like, he just said it, Craig.
Yeah, and Craig is just giving you the, just chill.
Who the hell is Big Cass?
And Craig, just don't call him that. He was just saying that's what the letter, right, bro? You just saying that's what the letter said. That's not what you call him, right? And Bravo just looks at you guys, and his mask kind of raises up so that you can see his eyes, nose, and mouth. And he's just looking at Craig, just utter disappointment, just like, ugh.
I look. I kind of look at the other guys. I go, Big Cass. He before we walk in, 5 gold says I'm taller than him. I've learned this in my years. We dwarves come up with this joke. If you want people to take you seriously, you have to name yourself something gigantic. But unfortunately, considering we're dwarves, they don't really believe us. So, just saying, 5 gold says I'm I'm taller than this guy. I says I would probably put him around a small child's height.
I will take that bet.
Yeah, Craig and Bravo just kind of look at each other, and then they look at Wolfane, and they're like, And Bravo folds his back up, gives it to Craig, and he says, go down there, check it out, see what Cass, see what Uther needs. And if he needs me, good. But I'm supposed to be on vacation right now. And his armor kind of putters a little bit, and he lifts back up off the ground and kind of soars across the top. Instead of walking through this open area, he's just kind of flying across the top of it now. But Craig goes to like give him a pound, and that's like right when he lifts off the ground, and he kind of snaps his fingers and points, and then turns around and steps into the elevator.
Yeah, you can see that Jules is shifting back and forward on his feet, like on his with his weight, and he's clearly just like unsettled right now. Like he doesn't know what the hell's going on, and with his obsession of finding out the truth and finding knowing things and just having information is just like really antsy.
Is everybody getting in the elevator?
Yeah.
Huzzah! Down the elevator we go. Eventually it stops on that same level that you guys are familiar with. There are a handful of assistants kind of running around in here, seem to be cleaning up a little bit. And in the distance, you can kind of see the green light of the milestone kind of shining, and you see the silhouette of Uther sitting there. And once it opens up, bang bong, he kind of looks over his shoulder and he says, what's going on, guys?
We're here to get Mad Crunk.
And Craig just is like, stop it.
Uther, we got these letters. All of us got letters. I don't know what they mean. Everyone's got different things written on them. None of us can reach each other's letters. Mine has coordinates. His has something about joining us, something about being invited. I don't know what the hell's going on or who sent these. Apparently it was Guild person. So do you know what this is?
And so he kind of stands up, and he clears off a little section and invites you guys over to sit down. And so there are 2 seats in front, and he pulls up a chair on the side, and he kind of looks at Craig, and Craig's like, I'm cool. So Craig's just kind of standing at the end of the table, arms crossed, looking over, and he tosses his letter and Bravos down in front of him, and he says, so can you read it? And he sits there and he looks over it for a second. He says, read what? There's nothing on these. And he said, Bravos. Well, he said that we were supposed to come, his said to come see you, and he is, well, you already got that rundown. We're all here because we assumed they were all like connected. I assume it's going to be a pretty sweet party, and that's why you invited us, and it's supposed to be a secret, right? And Uther kind of looks at him, and he looks at the 3 of you, and he extends his hands out.
I'll hand it out.
Yeah, and he takes Roland's, and he looks at it, and he tosses it, and he holds his hand out.
I give him mine.
And he looks at it, and he tosses it, and he holds his hand out.
Sure, why not?
And he looks at it, and he sits it down, and he's like, if I was going to write you guys a letter, I would think they would say something. But these don't. And he says,
well, I can read out what mine says. Only I can seem to be able to read it. I read out the numbers of the coordinates. See, that's what mine says.
And he sits there and he thinks on it for a second. It's like, That's That's in the middle of nowhere. And he kind of takes Craig's up and he looks at it and he's like, ah, and he takes Bravo's. And as soon as he sees Bravo's, he falls back in his chair and he's just laying there and he's not moving.
Who falls back in their chair?
Uther.
Well, that's not very good. I walk up to him and put my hand on his shoulder and shake him a little bit, gently.
And he's almost, so the best thing I can like describe this as, in the sport of American football, when a defensive player crushes a small little wide receiver coming across the middle and they just get blown up and they land on the ground and their arms are just stiff in front of them, that's a pretty telltale sign of getting knocked the F out.
Yeah.
Well, that's how he's kind of sitting, except his arms are out to the side. They're stiff. And when you shake him, they kind of come down, but they're still crooked at the elbow.
Uther? Got knocked out.
At this point, the blood drains from Jules's cheeks. And I'm just like, shit. Is there like a bell or some sort of warning signal somewhere?
So you don't see anything that was made for that purpose. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that you could clang and bang in here if that's what you're going for.
No. Cool. I just look around and I go, we need help. And I say to the group, I don't know what just happened, but I might go. Alchemist. He might know what's going on.
I reach out into the noosphere and reset my skill to medicine. I'm going to go check on Uther.
Okay.
No, I don't have to reach out. I just have it.
All right, cool. Make a medicine roll.
All right. 15.
So, to the touch, he seems stiff and cold. He has a pulse. He's not dead, but he is not moving.
Cool. Arcana to try to figure out, to see if maybe I can think of something that is arcane that would have caused this.
Yeah, make an Arcana roll.
That's terrible. That is 11.
So with an 11, I think I'm going to say that you're not familiar with this.
Okay.
So whatever that means to you. So you can rule out everything that you do know.
Okay.
And you see Craig kind of gets up and he goes over and he's just standing over the top of Uther and he's looking and he sees you guys and he pulls something. Craig always rolls around shirtless but with a vest. He's got 2 bracers or taped wrists, and from those he kind of reaches into it and says something, and he says, "Bravo, get down here." And a couple minutes later, Bravo comes down. And Bravo actually sees what's going on, and he runs over, and he's coming pretty quick, so you guys kind of get out of the way, and he slides over on his knees, and he is, as I said, he's decked out, fingers to toe tips, pretty much in armor where you can't even see his skin. And his glove recedes so that you can see his hand. And he sits there and he puts it on his chest, and he reaches over and he touches Gardain, and Gardain kind of gets this sensation. You can see him kind of stiffen up a little bit, and he touches him, and Uther's arms finally relax, and you can tell that he's no longer cold to the touch. He's hit before, when you felt that he was stiff, it wasn't just him, it was his clothes, it was everything about him. It was stiff. But now he just lays there, and he's just kind of breathing, but still unconscious. And Bravo looks at Craig, and he's like, "What the hell happened?" And he kind of gives him the rundown. "He read your letter, and then this happened."
No, well, he read every letter, and then this happened. It wasn't till he read the last letter, well, what I assumed would be the last, that this happened.
And he sits there, and he kind of takes all the letters in his hand.
Don't read them all.
And the visor again pulls up, and he's like, "All right." He says, "Well, I've already read mine." And so he kind of puts that to the side, and he shuffles through all but the last one and just kind of lays it down. And he's like, "I mean, the only thing we can do, sorry." And he pulls the paper aside, and he looks at the last one, and nothing happens. And he sits there and he reads through all of them again in order real quick. Nothing happens.
Is it? It could be some sort of magic given to all of us, assuming that we would all go to thinking we needed to go to Uther, and that Uther, being confused, would look at them all.
The whole thing kind of raises his brow. He's like, "You might be right. But why can't no one else see the letter or see each other's letter except Uther?" Then again, could be made to target Uther, not anybody else.
And
We
as
need
soon
a
as,
mage.
once you say that it could be made to target Uther, Craig and Bravo look at each other. Now, you guys haven't been around that long, so Bravo quickly, succinctly lets you know that there are a lot of people who are trying to get Uther. That's part of the reason you're here. And he rambles off of a couple of names, and these even ring a bell for you, Jules, because you flipped through your handbook before, and so these names are kind of ringing bells.
Right. So Jules will speak up, and he says, "Well, some of these names ring a bell. Do you think?" And he looks over to Bravo. Do you think Bruman might be able to help us? He seems to have a gizmo for everything.
To be honest with you, we're at the end of the cycle. I don't know if he's got the supplies that he normally would right now.
Well, he would know what he needs if there's something that he doesn't have. And I for sure don't want to just... we need to do something. So, I mean, I'm happy to go and get him. And if you need something, well, we might be able to go and get it. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think what we should probably do is see if we can figure out what all these letters had in common. What did yours say?
So I grab the letter again and just make sure that the numbers are the same. And I would say the first time that I read it was these numbers, and the second time I read it, one of the numbers changed? And as I read it now, has another number changed, or is it still the same?
Yeah, 2 of the numbers have changed.
Yeah. And so I read out the number now. I say, this is now changed twice. But, yeah, that's what it said. It's just these numbers, coordinates, I guess. And then I would say, I'm going to go see if I can find him. I'll leave the letter here for the moment, I think. And as I think about it, I go, no, I'll take it because Broomman might have some sort of idea what it is on a first glance. And I hop on the elevator and go in search of Broomman with my letter.
Cool. So yeah, we'll pick up there. We'll actually say you get up there and the shop is open. You even walk in and he's kind of standing behind this poultice and he's rubbing it in and there's light smoke kind of coming off of it.
I say, Broomman, whatever you're doing, finish it now and come with me. We've got a matter of some urgency. Uther's not in a good way. We all got letters like this. And I hold out the letter to him and I say, I don't know what it is, but something's happened to Uther and we need help.
And he sits there and he kind of stops and he pulls out, what is it? The pestle. And he sits there and he carefully raises the bowl and he pours out the liquid onto this long piece of bread. And he picks it up and he says, all right, we can go see him. But and he takes a big bite out of the bread. It doesn't look like your letter says anything.
No, it don't look like anything, but it had coordinates on it. And each of us, and I rattle off the names of everyone that got one, had a letter, and none of the rest of us could read it. Anyway, we'll explain it more when we get down there. I want you to have a look at them.
And he says the coordinates, and he takes another bite. Did they change?
Yes, sir. They did.
He drops the bread, and he runs over behind the desk, and he pulls out this enormous book and kind of slams it down, and with both hands opens the pages, and he cycles and flips a couple more pages, and he says, you got that book from Craig, right? Flip to page, let's see. Looks like 27.
Countdown 27, unless they're numbered. Okay, so just flip to it.
Yeah, every 10 are numbered, so it's fairly easy to find.
Yeah, I'll flip to 30 and go back 3.
And you open up to a page, and the page on the top, it says Arliss. Arlett, excuse me, Arlette. And then in quotes underneath it, it says, you are invited. It has some other information. One of the biggest things of note on there is that she, you get a pronoun, she has a long-running feud with Uther.
I say to Broomman, well, one of us had those words, you are invited, on the letter.
It says, okay, so last time, and he flips to a couple more pages, and you happen to notice you have the handbook, he has the encyclopedia. And he sits there and he flips a couple more pages, and it's still just seems to be this big block of text, every once in a while a diagram. But he reads a section off to you, and it says, Last time, let's see, she didn't infiltrate. It was, we went out, we sought her. Uther came back. Some people thought he said he had seen something. Nobody else saw it. That sounds kind of like what you're dealing with here, isn't it?
Each of us see something on this paper, on our papers that no one else can see. Yeah.
And he spins the book around so that you can see it. And on the bottom, there's a upside down triangle with a green line straight up the middle. And then he points at either side of the other 2 points of the triangle, the left and right one, and says, these marks here. And you're looking and you don't see anything. And he says, we removed them because this is a paralyzation enchantment. The first to look, to read at it and see it, they're the ones who are affected. Is Uther breathing?
Well, he had a pulse and his arms were locked. But then Bravo came and made him relax somehow.
Okay. So, and he flips one last page, and it's at the bottom, it's got like a big asterisk next to it, and it's got a little block of text, and he reads it out to you, and the gist that you get from that block of text is that the paralysis becomes permanent after 5 days. And then there's a note that says, antidote can be found on Arlet.
All right. I say, well, I'm happy to carry that book if you like, but I think that you should come and have a look for yourself. Not at the letters, obviously, but just at Uther and see if there's anything more that you can do for him.
And he takes this big quill off the side, dabs it into the ink, and then dabs it in this invisible, or not invisible, but this empty vial as well. And then kind of gets your handbook, and it's flipped to that page. And he just draws a circle around this, the piece, and then taps your book, and a page pokes out from behind it, and then it trims to size, and now you have this additional information on Arlet in your own handbook.
Thank you.
And he said, and he puts the quill back in, and he turns around and he rifles through a couple of things, and he takes this weird bumpy gourd, and he says, give this to Craig. Craig will administer it. He should be okay. But it looks like we've got 5 days.
All right. We might be back. And I grab the gourd and I go down there as quickly as possible, give it to Craig to administer it to our good friend and see what happens.
So Craig gets it, and you see him start running his hand over it. And as he's running his hand over it, those bumps and everything just kind of start to peel back until he's got this smooth ball. And he turns and he looks at Bravo. And he looks over at Ulthane, and he kind of shrugs, and he's like, nah. And without looking, he smashes it kind of off of the headpiece of the armor on Bravo, and it breaks a little bit. And so some of the juice and pulp and stuff are starting to come out. And Bravo's just sitting there like, oh my God, I'm not a can opener. But he breaks it finally, and the pulp lands on Uther's chest, which you guys had kind of pulled back the shirt a little bit, and it hits there, and his chest expands, and you can, and it just stays there. And every once in a while, you'll see it dip down real fast and open up real big, but it's almost like, it seems like whatever this is doing is keeping a part of him moving. Possibly making him better, probably making him better.
I say, well, that's what Bruman gave me, and he gave me this. I open up my book, and I say, I think we should all have a good read. In fact, I'll read it out to you. This is what's going on. And I read it out, and see what reaction I get from everyone.
The first noticeable reaction is definitely Craig and Bravo. They're shaking Arlet every time. She just doesn't get it. She doesn't care. And you can see Craig puts two fingers in his mouth and whistles real loud. And he turns and he looks at Roland and he kind of thumbs over his shoulder, and whirling down the elevator shaft is this spinning blade that you've seen him ride on. And it comes and he jumps up and it lands right underneath him and stops moving, and he's on top of it. And Bravo kind of explodes up and is kind of in a hovering position. And he's like, so let's all get to the light well. Get ourselves together, and then we can go see what we can do about this. That's if you guys want to.
Well, I'm not leaving this be.
Well, I don't think Arlet would let you, but yeah, let's go.
I look to the others and I say, sorry it took so long. Are you guys ready? Are you feeling all right?
Whole thing. Drinking whiskey, because to him, whiskey is the ultimate medicine for anything. He goes, yeah, let's go. I've been wanting to bring in somebody to justice for a long time.
Cool. So you guys all go to Craig's shop, and he's sitting there, and Bravo, he understands the severity of the situation, but you can tell he's a little disappointed because this was definitely his vacation week. But he says, okay, and he hands out these little stones, and he puts one in everybody's hands, and he says, what are the coordinates?
Before I answer him, I'll just look over to Roland and make sure everything's all good.
If I could run to my room real quick and grab my things. Give me 5.
Craig's like, of course, yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so we'll all get what we need, our adventuring gears and things, and meet back, and then I will open my letter again and read out whatever new coordinates there are.
And as you read them out loud, and they are, once again, different, you kind of put your hands over that stone again, and you see the light kind of fizzle up around you, and then bam, you're gone. What do everybody else do? What does?
We all disappear, I take it?
It's just him. He said the coordinates of where he was going.
Well, we each have a rock, right?
Yep.
Well, old thing takes the rock, and he goes, you only live once. Whiskey, I'm feeling kind of confident, and he does the same thing.
Yeah. Boom. He disappears.
Sam and disappear.
Great. And there, Craig does it and disappears. Gardain does it and disappears. Bravo, he says the coordinates, but as he does it, it sparkles twinks, and you see a minor explosion in his helmet, and he falls and falls over, does not disappear. Where you guys are, first, Jules, you arrive, and you are standing in what looks like the outskirts of this forest. Just trees. They're pretty close together. It seems like there could be a thick underbrush in certain parts, but it's pretty thick forest. And then, boom, Ulthane shows up. Boom. Roland shows up. But that's it.
Oh, I shake my head. I look at these two and I say, it's twice now that we've appeared in different places. Ugh. We really need to talk to Bruman about these. See if we can get something a little bit more accurate.
I don't know necessarily if it's inaccurate. I mean, the three of us are here.
I know, but
Took us exactly where we told it. I mean, I heard the both of you say this coordinate.
where are the others? Did they say something wrong? I don't know. Well, looks like there's a forest. I look the other direction.
Maybe something got them caught up. Some maybe an alarm sounded. Maybe there's something real bad going on, and it's only the three of us. That's good, though, right? The three of us
Well, we'll do what we can.
together.
Don't even know what I'm looking for, but do what we can.
And one thing that maybe just kind of passively you guys didn't realize when you left, it was, middle of the afternoon. It's nighttime here. The sky is clear. You can see a bunch of stars. You don't see any lights from towns. You see a big, almost full moon above you. And then, boom, boom, these two massive lights kind of shine down and spotlight your location. And then, boom, boom, two more lights from what must be deeper in the forest start crossing in the distance. And it says, "Well, you made it."
Of course, I was invited.
Of course. What of the rest of you? Did you get my letters?
Old thing just stands there and goes, like he looks at he's got one hammer on his shoulder, and he's been taking a sip, babying an upset stomach, and he, using whiskey, the worst possible thing to do so. And he's just like, all six of us are here, or that's how many he counts. The six of us are here.
Oh, but you're not. Not yet all here. I'm afraid Bravo was unavailable and couldn't make it. But let me ask, did he get to show his letter to Uther?
Old thing says, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? He holds up like the bottle of whiskey. He's like, I'm preoccupied. The letters some guy that flew read them. We didn't really get to see anybody named. Well, what? Well, I don't know. We didn't get to see him. He was busy or something.
Oh, perhaps he couldn't be bothered. He couldn't even be moved.
There is rage building up in Jules at this point. Well,
Ma'am, you are
boys-
incriminating yourself.
It's
Sorry.
incriminating. Oh, I was just asking if he was all right.
Your puns do not escape me.
Oh, I'm too drunk for your words.
So, well, you're not too drunk then to party. And between these spotlights, this mystical portal seems to appear. It kind of smokes up and is sort of a mirage, but it's there. It says, of course, you are all invited. And when you come to play, we play for keeps.
Jose looks at the rest of the people and says, "You think she's friendly?" Like he says it in a more sarcastic tone. I think she's friendly.
Wait,
He was like,
this is a game? Is that what you think this is?
Well, it sure isn't practice. Not a game. Not
What do we get if we win?
the real prize, I suppose. You, the one who has already been partying. Where is your brother?
like all this time, he just now narrows his eyes, and he says, "Watch what you say carefully, lady."
I was just curious where she was. Is he not with you?
He with that he kind of like toying with this, and now sees like she's speaking more on what's fighting words to a dwarf. He goes, it's going to be one of those days. And like he like holds his hand up like one moment, takes the pack off of his back, sets it down, and pulls out a shield, and just like as though he's preparing for, what have you. Just picks his shield up, takes his hammer out, like he goes, it looks fine, and then just puts the backpack back on and goes, all right, continue. And he heads in the direction of this party.
Says, oh, in a rush to find your brother. I could tell you where he is. I'm looking at him right now.
Disembodied voice. Hello.
And what is your name?
Aha, funny. Very, very funny.
It's hard not to pick out a jewel when you see it.
Especially when one is bright and shiny like yourself.
Flattery will get you nowhere.
I was referring to those lights, bright and shiny.
Ah, of course. You all represent the guild, don't you? Why else would you be here? You got my letters. You know the worst way to ever stick it to The old man is to take it out on his lackeys. That's you. But I think what would hurt him the most isn't your life. It's that of his Red Knight. But Craig won't be around to help you or himself much longer. Won't you join us? You're all invited.
So, if we come along and we do whatever it is that you are planning us to do, will we get these people back? We don't want to have anyone harmed.
Oh, then you have come to the wrong party, my friend. Because it is a raucous crowd.
Well, I could harm you.
Not at this moment.
That's true. So what is it that you want, Arlette?
I just want you to play. Come inside. Have fun.
I'm sure it will be a blast. Or there will be one by the end.
Guys, I'm going to go ahead and go in.
Go in where? There's a forest and lights. I don't know what the hell is happening.
Well, that's my best guess. She's being so vague. I think if we have only so much time, the more that we waste thinking about what to do or discussing it, we'll just make it worse.
Whatever. So where are we going? Where is this party of yours?
Well, we were working on a good name for it because it's always so fun to have a party. And we kind of had a little group sit down and think about it, and they liked the Fungin. But I prefer the Pain Forest, and the little smoky doorway turns and becomes solid, and now between it is just this sparkling, like red and black glittering light.
You're only missing blue. You're only missing blue.
Like just like, just walking forward and listening to like the Pain Forest. He goes, of course, you couldn't have just named it like the House of Cards or the House of, something. It has to be a bad guy term, meaning it's like bad guys today. I swear they lack no class. Well, thing goes, so I take it following the lights is not going to give us to you.
Oh, yes. And the lights go, instead of being aimed at you, are now pointed on this doorway. And it's this big, this 20-foot tall, 20-foot wide portal that has just this big arch. And it is in front of the forest.
Old Thane says, before anybody goes in, he holds his hand up like he reaches down and takes one of the arrows from his quiver and he sticks it through the portal and pulls it out.
Yeah, it goes through and comes right back out.
Unharmed?
Unharmed.
I look at the other ones going, c'est la vie. He walks in.
Looking over at, having watched him just walk to the portal, I'll look over at Jules. Jules, when these lights go off, you won't be able to see, will you?
I look over at him and I say, I got a lamp.
Okay, well, I learned something, so this will help. And you watch me reach over to my hand and pull my thumb up, and I'm looking at it, just locked in on it. And as I blow, you watch that from my hand, it begins to glow with a light green light until it's all over my body. Okay, and I'm literally shining like a beacon now. Bright light 20 feet from me, dim light 20 more feet from that.
There's a pun in this I'm going to make. You're the shining star. You're the star of production.
As you do this, Arlet's voice is, "Oh, he's ready to rave."
Yeah, he is.
And I'll go through the archway.
See to that. Yeah. I will follow.
Cool. So once you guys are all through, you are standing what looks like just this lush forest, slightly different, still very dark, other than the light that's being emitted from Roland. But as soon as Jules kind of steps through and everyone's looking around, the door or the archway kind of crumbles over itself. It says, "Oh, well, you're all here. You're all ready to party, I'm sure. Now all you have to do is find the other guests. Have a good time. I'm sure I'll see you real soon."
I say, not if we see you first.
All right, so you guys are standing in this relatively dark dungeon, or not dungeon, sorry, in this dark forest. There are around, you kind of see these little flowers every once in a while that kind of open up, and they emit this very dull, low light. So they're just kind of putting off 10 feet of dim light around each one of these flowers. They're not close enough for you to have good vision. But sorry, not close enough for you to have good vision, but you can kind of see in front of you, there is this 15-foot wide path, and then around it, it seems like almost immediately there are thick bushes and trees and things like that.
I lay my hand on Roland and say, well, if you find you're in need of an extra hand, just think of that green light that you're emanating, and you'll find that you've got a little bit of extra strength. And I give him bardic inspiration.
Perfect.
Because he's helped me to see. So, yeah. And then looking around, there's this wide path, and I look to the others, and it's fairly obvious, I would imagine, by the sounds of things, that the bushes and trees and stuff that surround the path are kind of impassable or very, very thick at least. So it would be very difficult to move through them. Or
if so, all you're doing is just visually examining them.
yes.
Yeah, so they definitely look like they are like it's a fairly thick bramble, and the trees, the further off you look, seem to be even closer together than the ones that are edging the path.
Right. I look to them and I would say, well, usually when someone goes hiding in hide and seek or some such thing, they hide off the beaten path. But apparently, in this place, the rules are different. What do you guys say? It looks like it's going to be difficult if we go down into that thick underbrush. I don't fancy myself pulling through there very quickly, and we don't have much time, as you said. So we're going to follow the path.
Yeah. Like setting his hammer on his shoulder. It's like, yeah. She obviously she wants to have a party. So
I will. I will grab a stick, a little branch from one of the trees, snap it, and I walk to the middle of the path, and I make an indent with my rapier, stabbing into the packed dirt or whatever the path is, and I make it sort of maybe like 2 inches or so deep, and then I put the branch into it. So there's just like this individual branch in the middle of the path that's sticking up vertically. And I say, just in case. And yeah, walk down the path.
Cool. Yeah, you guys follow the path for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And then you finally, off in the distance, you can kind of see it, the path, not itself widen, but it seems to open up to a larger open area. As you guys kind of step into that open area, when the last one does, the trees seem to grow up quickly behind it, blocking off the way you came. But now you stand in this big clearing and it is just a massive diameter circle. It's probably 100 feet across. In the very center, you see a small fire pit.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, whole thing looks kind of like looking around at the other two and then looking at the fire pit. And he kind of like looking to the bar, looking to Jules, and says, "Chances are, we gonna bet it's not safe." Like, I mean, he and again very sarcastically. Hearing, seeing that Jules is silent, Old Thing takes this as a thing of like, of course, it's not trapped. So Old Thing shrugs and goes, "Screw it," walks right up to the pit.
Cool. Yeah. So the closer you get to this fire pit, it starts to almost change the color of the ground around it. The well lit areas seem to fluctuate in different shades of like purple to red to orange to yellow, and then back and forth, just kind of cycling through those colors. And as you get closer, your steps, you're actually seeing the ground almost seems to light up where your feet go down in a 1 foot by 1 foot square around each step.
Well, I turn back and look at Jules. I still think it's safe. Looks safe.
And a rod juts up out of the ground that's maybe 2 feet tall, and it sits there, and on the top of it, it has this strange device. It's this odd metal over the top of it. It's thatched like cross-patterned metal over it, and emanating from it, a little voice says, "All players not present."
I look over my shoulder. I said, well, it looks like we all got to be here. Like I motioned for him to come on.
And I'll follow.
There's nothing else in the clearing.
No, not at this time.
I'll rip off another branch. And this time I'll lay it horizontally on the ground. And I'll separate it into 3 bits. And it's an arrow pointing the way that we came. And then I'll walk up to the fire pit.
Cool. And kind of the same phenomena happens as you guys walk up. Your steps almost kind of 1 foot by 1 foot squares underneath each step you take, no matter where you step, kind of lights up with this white, glowing light. And then once you guys are all standing around the fire pit, Ulthane, you hear, "Players present, would you like to begin?" Not in Elga's voice, sorry.
Sure. Well, looking at the other ones, whole thing, like yes, no.
I'm in. I'll draw my sword and my crossbow, holding each one in the hand, figuring out which one I'll need to use.
Before I respond, will the thing activate on them saying yes, or do all of us need to say yes? Like, I'm pausing to see.
Yeah, and nothing happens. Both of them have said, yes, we're ready, and nothing has happened.
Okay, so Jules looks to the others and just says, just puts his finger up and goes, 1 minute. And what I want to do is see if there's a pattern. Like, okay, you say that when we were walking, that underneath us, where our footfalls were, lights came on. So was that only when our feet touched the ground, and then did they go off again as our feet came off the ground, or was there like sometimes there was lights and sometimes there wasn't?
Every time you stepped, and it was only in the light of this fire. Every time you took a step, it would light, and as you lifted it, it would no longer light up.
Okay. In that case, that's fine. I will just say yes, I'm ready.
As soon as you say yes, you're ready, these 15-foot like bamboo reeds shoot up around the outside of you guys in a 15-foot circle, outside or away from the, I guess it's a 30-foot circle outside of the campfire, and the fire just kind of blows up like a bonfire, and the entire area is fairly well illuminated now. Maybe just the outer reaches you can't see, but so it's all very well illuminated, and you just hear this thumping, dum, 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 and the lights hit the the side of the trees that seem to outline what is this giant circle, and they're just moving around frantically. And the ground, you start to see the shades offset like a giant checkerboard. That bright white light that you stepped on, and then shades of like bright orange and bright purple and bright blue, and it's just kind of moving with the beat itself. And she says, "Ooh, Goblin Run. I love this game. Say hello to the other people that we invited to the party. Have a good time." Uh, uh, uh. And the chutes drop, and as they do, you just hear this high-pitched screaming, and from all directions, you just see these hordes of goblins just kind of running towards this light in the middle. Roll initiative. Order preference between Roland and Uthane?
You can go first.
Okay.
All right. All right. So just charging at you, all you can see is just this wave of these goblin gnashing teeth just kind of running in at you, all of them different shades, different colors. Some of them have their ears pointed in different directions, but all of them have like birthday hats on, and they're just running towards the middle.
So we're surrounded then?
Yeah, every direction they're coming from you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to try to... Oh, this is not good. About how many of them are there?
You have no idea. A lot.
A lot. Okay. Then I'm going to try to pick one off with an arrow real quick.
Okay.
Ram the sword into the ground. Bring it up and give it a shot. And that's 21 total.
Yes, that hits these birthday goblins.
Yay! Oh, I was like, there's no way that's right. 6 piercing damage.
Cool.
And I will back up to put myself. I will start backing up toward the very center, shouting out, "Group together!"
And as you are stepping back, these goblins sort of retch in a little bit of pain, and the one you hit stays the same, but a couple of the other ones jump up about a foot. And I say jump up, they grow about a foot taller.
When I step back?
When you stepped back. I will give you, if you'd like, you can make an intelligence check.
Absolutely.
I would say that it's just intelligence, no proficiency or anything.
Okay, that's a 20.
So when you step back, whatever it was that made these guys retch is you stepped back, and you can make the connection that it wasn't on beat. And so a couple of them, you took, 2-3 steps back, probably of the ones you can see, maybe 12 to 15 of them grew an extra foot. Not all of them.
But they grew taller?
They did.
Okay. Then as my bonus action, I reach out and change my proficiency to perform, dance. And based off of the music that I hear, I am going to dance I'm going to prepare an old gnomish chartish, which is known for not being in time or in a regular meter, and it's lively, but it's partner dancing and stomping compared to raving.
Okay. Little Thane. You're up.
Okay. So is it loud music or just like a melody?
You are in the club, my friend.
Where's the music? Where's the music coming from?
It feels like the bass is coming from under the ground, and the rest of the music is coming from everywhere. Like if they had a hi-fi surround audio system, that's what it sounds like.
So when he hits, the one got bigger.
The one he hit
I
didn't
don't
get
know.
bigger.
Oh no! I mean, but some of them did.
Yes.
Because I'm a dwarf. I know when a goblin increases in size. So I don't know the connection of the beat. So is anything on the ground? Like, is the ground any different, or is it the same?
It still seems like an open grass field. However, like I said, there's that the lights kind of changing and things like that.
The bonfire that's in the center, what's it doing during all this time? I don't want to take up too much of my time asking questions, but what's the bonfire doing?
Well, so it's just kind of flicking with the music.
Is the goblins close to the bonfire?
Not yet.
I'm going to move up to the bonfire.
Okay. A couple more. Actually, high or low?
High.
Okay. Yeah, you move to the bonfire.
All right.
Roland, you happen to notice that it's on beat.
What's on beat?
His little tiny dwarven strides seem to hit right on cue.
Solid. I don't know what it is, but dwarven feet have a beat to it.
I wish I had an ability to deafen people. Keep going.
Okay, so anyway, so I'm going to hold my action for when one of them comes close. I'm going to literally fling them in the fire. See what that does.
All right. Well, very good. Well, so the bigger ones seem to be making better time towards the middle. And while they were a long way away, the larger ones are the best thing I can say is they're coming and they are just, if this was a runway, they are working it. They are sitting there and hitting when the beat drops, they're stopping, and then they're like side crawl, walk dancing. And one of the bigger ones anyway, he actually gets fairly close and just does the worm a couple of times and then pops up, and he's got this club in it that he's reeling back with two hands, and he's going to take a swing at you, Ulthane, but your ready action is triggered.
I'm going to attempt to fling his ass in the fire.
All right, so we'll just do opposed strength rolls on that.
I bet. What's my strength? That is a 21.
Yeah, I got an 8. So he
Oh.
kind of gets up and he's swinging. And so you launch this dude into the fire. Are you trying to land him in the fire or through the fire?
On it, like just smack on it.
Cool. Yeah, he hits it, and the fire itself, like the wooden logs that seem to be making it up, don't move. He just hits it, and he comes out. And when he comes out, you can see him kind of himself retch in pain a little bit. But as he does this, the other big ones in the crowd shrink. None of the other goblins actually make it all the way. They are much closer now. The last person in the room, Jules, it is your turn.
All right. Jules will measure this beat in the music, and he will move precisely to it. And what I would like to do, is I would like to take a bonus action to tumble. And what this means is I gain the benefits of dash and disengage. And I am going to move at that new speed, which is 60, to the beat. And I'm going to make the most hilarious set of dance moves anyone has ever seen. Jumping and doing splits over people and, you know, stuff. And they try to strike out at me, these goblins, but they just can't seem to land anything because I'm disengaging. And then as I'm doing that, I will whip out my rapier, and I'm going to attack one of the bigger ones if I can.
So actually the bigger ones had shrunk back down to normal size after the one got tossed into the fire.
So all of the ones that were big are no longer big. All right. Well, being that I can move such a long way, I would like to attack one that's like only just sort of coming into the light, like of the fire itself, like, and so I'm going to make an attack roll with my rapier of +4, so 18 to hit him.
That'll hit.
With my rapier of D8 of it'll be 8 points of piercing damage.
All right. And so you hit this one with your rapier, and when you hit him, this voice comes over and it says, "Excellent." And you hit this one, and not only the ones within 5 feet of it, but all the ones within 10 feet of it explode.
All right, and I do that, and I hear the excellent, and I like throw out my hands, you know, like stylish, you know, and yeah, yep, and that will be my turn. Having run around 60 feet without anyone being able to hit me. And then finishing move.
That brings us back around. So it was recently described as the what was it? The sickest set of dance moves we'd ever seen. But I know Roland was preparing something. So, what do you have?
For the sake of shenanigans, can we say that I'm about to Irish dance instead?
Yeah, you're gonna river dance out here. That's
I'm
fine.
absolutely gonna river dance.
Is it the remix?
No, I'm going Michael Flatley, the
Okay.
original, before they ever made it onto the real stage. He's practicing at home.
Okay. Okay. So
And
go
I
ahead.
dance.
All right. Well, then, so it's going to take your action. Actually, it would just be your movement, unless you wanted to make this. If you wanted to do the performance, let's do that.
I want to focus this dancing and really try to mess with these guys
Okay.
and see if it will. And if it doesn't, then I pull the sword out of the ground and charge next round.
All right. Make that dance.
All right, that is going to be 15.
Let's see. All right. So that hits. So you see, as you're doing this dancing, and it is possibly purposely, maybe you're not very good, but in any event, it is somebody who has trouble clapping. You are not on beat. You are not in the rhythm. Yeah, I mean, to say you're either very charismatic or very stupid. And so here, don't pull the kimono aside too much. But anyway, so you're doing this, and as you're dancing, you actually see almost all the ones in front of you grow up a size larger.
Okay. And I'm like, I don't know whether this is good or bad, so I kick away.
I like that look of determination as he just keeps going. Is there anything else that you would like to do on your turn besides river dance? That's a D&D question right there. I love it.
So that was my action, though, right?
Correct.
Okay. Then I'm going to spend some points to teleport. Hold on. How many are around Jules?
So he cleared out a 10-foot bubble. There are still some around him, but they're a little further away.
Oh, okay. So are they like 20 feet away from me or something, or 30 feet?
30 feet.
Sweet. And I'm gonna spend I'm gonna spend 3 points to go 30 feet behind him.
All right, so that is roughly where Jules is.
So, can I go to another part of the circle?
There are goblins everywhere.
Perfect. Since nobody tightened up with me, I'm spreading away, trying to get away from everybody now.
That's also pretty funny. Everybody, stay together. Where are they going? I'm gonna river dance. Okay, well, there you go. There's Roland. Anything else that you're doing here, Roland?
No.
All right, Ulthe.
So, seeing Roland doing the river dance, Ulthane kind of just like looks at him like, "Are you challenging me to a dance off?" because that is the dance of the dwarves. Anyway, so now what I'm going to do is this goblin that I've pretty much crucified in fire. I like when he's just getting out like oh God, it burns. He just picks him back up and just throws him back in there. Like, no, we need you to shrink your other kid.
All right, make another contested strength. I'm going to do mine at disadvantage.
That is a 23. That is a nat 20 on my die roll.
All right. Yeah. So he kind of gets out and he's, dealing with the fire, and then all of a sudden you just kind of pick him up and hoist him right back in. And this time when he hits the fire, it puts the fire out. And now in this area, all you can see are the colors from the floor. And you notice all of the dwarves, goblins all shrink back down to regular size, and they all turn to Roland. And it is their turn.
No! No!
Yeah.
I'm over here just Riverdale.
just come on, guys. Come on.
Isn't there some movie where some kid just river dances like crazy? He's like, I'm going to do this.
I don't know that that's ever been the way to solve a problem.
Ever.
All right. So they come over to you. Man, what a bummer. So two of them, who are, again, just kind of gnashing their teeth, come over and they try and make a stab at you with their sword. The first two miss. The next two. Oh, my God. What's your next two miss? Now I just want to put more to hit you. What?
Oh, it's just 14.
Yeah, no, I know. I think the highest thing I've rolled so far is a 6. And what you see is another one actually comes up and you can make athletics or acrobatics, whichever you prefer.
Okay.
Damn it.
It will be a 13.
Yeah, I got a 4. So I'm going to grab 2 new D20. We're going to pause the game. So, those aren't better. Okay, cool. So, yeah, one of them kind of runs and jumps out. Did you use athletics or acrobatics?
Acrobatics.
Cool. So he comes diving at you. How did you evade this guy?
Literally, I do one of the river dance heel kicks where I throw one leg up. In midair, I bring the other leg up, click my heels, and he goes flying under my feet.
Excellent. Excellent. So that brings us around to Jules.
I'm feeling really good about this. I might not be helping, but they're not hitting me while I'm here.
All right. So, seeing that Roland seems to be in some trouble, I am going to tumble again, doing lots of flips, seemingly like almost impossible flips over goblins and then under their feet, like playing scarecrow, sliding under, then jumping over, and then and they all try to lash out, but they just can't. And I get to the middle of the group where Roland is, and there's a whole bunch of goblins all around him. And then I listen to the melody, and then I see a counterpoint to it, and I'm gonna cast sleep.
All right, give me those D8s.
I am actually. Let me double check the wording on this because I couldn't possibly do it at level 2. What would that do? At high levels, roll an additional 2d8. I'm going to do it at level 2. So I get 7d8. Yep. All right, here we go. Um, 36 health worth.
All right. So as you're doing this, you reel back and you cast your sleep spell, and it must be fate, because right as you do it, the beat drops, and so do all but one of the goblins. All of the goblins, even though it's just an area, all of the goblins except one of them just fall over.
And I'm just like, wah! Yep. That is my turn.
Roland, the only goblin that did not fall over, you just jumped over.
Cool. So then, what I would like to do is, I don't have any weapons on me. I will then. Gosh, I really don't have anything I can do. Oh, I know what I'll do. I drop down onto my knees and start doing pat a cake with him, and get faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, all while going, oh, give me a home where the owlbear do roam and the deer eat some cantaloupe, yeah. And I'm just making up words and singing and making it terrible, terrible bad, singing as loud as I can into his ear.
You can see him at first. He's playing with you. You know, he's his party hat is, you know, having a good time. But as you do this song, the party hat seems to be like slipping, and eventually it goes over his eyes, and he goes and he misses. Make an attack roll, just like an unarmed attack.
Okay. Let's see. That's a 3 on the dice, so no.
Cool, yeah. So as you guys are patty caking, one of his hands definitely misses, and you go and you almost sock this dude in the face, but he doesn't. And so he's sitting there, and he just eventually just kind of stops, and he's just listening to you sing, and he grows up a size.
What am I doing wrong?
Anything else you'd like to do?
Nope, that's great.
All right, Ulthane.
So the goblins have now turned on Jules, huh?
They have.
Well, considering the goblin I pretty much burned at the stake is pretty much done for, I am going to go up and try to smack one with a hammer.
Cool. Yeah. The only one that's around, you'd probably have to double move to get to him, because he's about 60 feet off, because that's where what's his name, Roland, jumped to.
I'm sorry. Can I do one thing?
Yeah.
You can say no.
What is it? Then I'll decide.
Okay. I haven't moved on my turn, correct?
No.
Not correct?
No, that you are correct. You have not moved.
Okay, so if he has to double move, he's within 60 feet of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 more points, transposition, bonus action. We teleport places. We swap. So I'm standing where he was. He comes to where I am. And our movement is reduced to 0 until the end of the turn.
Hey, Ulthane, you have one goblin who just grew up a little bit, but also is dealing with this patty cake ability he does not have. But he is within 5 feet of you.
Well, there's going to be a smack with a hammer. That'll be 20 altogether, 15 plus 5.
That hits.
And it will be 8 points of damage as I cold cock him in the forehead with a hammer.
Perfect. Yeah, as soon as you hit him, that voice says, "Killer combo." And you hit him, and as soon as you hit him, he just kind of pops. And all of the ones that are asleep seem to like turn to ash and just kind of dissipate up into the sky. And the fire reappears. And it says, "Round 2.
Shit.
Ulthane looks at him and goes, "Put one of them in the fire." That's how I did it.
I stopped dancing, realizing that it might have helped me not be hit, but it did not help everybody. It did not have the effect that I was hoping.
So, you guys are all roughly standing near each other. Roland, you are by the fire. And you see these creatures almost larger than the trees themselves kind of lumber through, and it's boom, boom, boom. And the ground's kind of shaking every time they hit. It feels like that bass, is coming. But it's different because it's definitely coming from a direction. And then one of the spotlights turns and shines brightly. And in the corner, you see this enormous stone humanoid monster standing there. And then he breaks out and he does the Running Man, and he just kind of disappears back into the trees, and it opens up a pathway, and then boom, another light shines on the opposite side. And it's this enormous, it's the same giant stone golem. And he sits there and he does the, what's it called? Oh, geez, now I should really remember these things. The, oh my gosh, the thing that waters your yard. What is that called?
Sprinkler.
The sprinkler. He does the sprinkler back into the forest, clearing a second path. And then, boom, on the opposite direction that you came from, on the far end, there's that same stone golem. And he sits there. And from out from his leg, it swings open. And here come running more goblins.
More goblins?
And the music starts back up. And the colors and the shifting and everything. Now this time, after about 20 goblins come out, the door shuts on his leg. And he just does what can only be described as a trust fall back into the trees, opening up a third path. And we are at Jules.
All right. So there's new paths that have opened up in the forest. Does it look like they lead anywhere? Like, or are they just straight or curved paths?
So they kind of disappear once you're outside of this circle. The lights and things like that die off again. So it's just kind of into the forest, into the dark.
Right. And what caused them was this man appearing? Is that right?
So it's probably like a 30-foot tall stone golem, and the front side of his leg where his shin would be kind of opened up like a hinge on a door, and these things came running out.
And now it's disappeared again?
Yeah, it's just kind of fallen back into the tree line, opening up a third pathway.
I'm really confused what I should be doing. Being that I can move so far, without getting hit, I'm gonna dash/disengage, which is tumbling, just bounding around, annoying these goblins, and try and get as far as I can with 60 feet of movement down one of these paths. I guess the newest one is fine.
The nearest or the newest?
Newest.
So you would have to, okay, so you're going to run through. They're far enough away that you wouldn't actually be able to start down the path yet.
Okay, that's fine.
But you can get right there.
And get right there as a bonus action. And this is where the goblins are coming from?
You actually moved through the goblins.
Moved through the goblins. All right. All right. So what I want to do then with my action is I want to cast Minor Illusion, and it's breaking the rules just a little bit. But what I want to do is put a spotlight over myself, like directly aiming at me, and or make it even look like a couple of spotlights are all just aiming at me. And so I'm illuminating, if I can, if you'll allow me, the space that I move to, so that I am a center of attention as much as possible. Minor Illusion doesn't illuminate technically, but if I can make some sort of something to, yeah.
So what I'm going to do, give me your spellcasting modifier.
My modifier?
Well,
so I've got a spell save DC of 13.
13, great. Yeah. Man, okay. Well, let's see. Jesus, I need some new D20. So yeah, these things, as you were moving through them, you realized the reason that you weren't getting hit is because they weren't really attacking you. They were kind of looking past you, focused on that fire, and then it's almost like those lights came on and all of them kind of turned around towards you.
Cool. That'll be my turn. Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't roll higher than a 9. I'm having trouble here.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Rolling.
Right.
Oh, I thought you meant that you were rolling.
Oh no, rolling as in it's Roland's turn.
I'm realizing I may have picked a bad name. Roland. Oh, okay. I am. I'm gonna run back to my sword, pull it out of the ground, and move forward with the rest of my movement, I guess. And both then get ahead of me.
Anything special about how you're walking?
Since I have performance as my main skill right now, I will move to the beat.
Strut, I believe. I don't need you to make a strut check. I assume you passively pass that right now.
I will, yeah. I will strut.
And a voice comes on and says, "Look at those moves." Ulthane, your turn.
I strut a little harder.
Is there any goblin near the fire?
No.
Well, old thing double moves to the fire.
Plan B.
Plan B, kill it with fire. Like just like daring a goblin just to get near me. Just like, come on.
So you are actually, since Roland switched places with you, you're probably only about, I mean, they're within your movement. The goblins are.
Well, I'm going to hold my action for me to be able to snag one and throw him in the fire.
All right. I will let you know that they did all have their attention diverted from the fire to Jules. So it could be a while, and I don't want you to lose your turn. Unless you don't care.
Okay. All right. Since we are speaking of that matter, what I'm going to do, what thing's going to do is, they're within grabbing distance, so I'm going to run up to one and attempt to grab a hold of him and say, I have this dance, fool.
All right. Make, what is it? It's acrobatics or just strength? To grapple.
Strength for me, dexterity for them, I believe.
Right. Roll it with advantage.
Oh. First one was better. 19.
Cool. Yeah. You beat it. That's a good roll though, but you beat me.
So I just grabbed the goblin, and it looks like it's a very poor attempt at dancing, but he feels like this is the general theme to what must go on. If not, something strange will happen.
So yeah, you get over there and you grab him, and I'll say that you have maybe 5 more feet of movement that you kind of, sashay to and from. And as soon as you kind of start dancing with him, a spotlight, not one of the ones created by Jules, but a different spotlight comes down and is centered on you and that goblin. And you hear that voice go, "Rup, rup, 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 dance party." And all the other goblins turn, and they're all just standing there fist pumping.
It's kind of dumbfounds him. He goes, So if I move like the 5 foot, like I'm kind of like shawshaying him to the fire, like this seemed to work last time.
So yeah, it is the goblins' turn, but they are all dancing. Jules, it's your turn.
All right. I'm going to choose a goblin right in the middle of the group that's got, like, Raven. And can that goblin please make a wisdom saving throw?
Nope. I did not get it.
All right. So what that goblin hears and is this sound of the dance party, right? Dance party starts to echo in that goblin's head, louder and louder and louder and louder. That goblin takes 14 points of psychic damage, and immediately must, if it survives, use its reaction to move as far as it can away from me. And so, yeah, it's just the acoustic of that dance part, and it just reverberates, gets louder and louder and louder. 14 points of psychic damage.
Cool. Yeah, he kind of, you see that one fist. You can't really see the goblin, but you see one fist just kind of like stop. And then you see everybody kind of getting out of the way as this goblin's rustling through. A couple of the goblins closer to you are fist pumping and then just fall down. But this one's kind of pushing his way through.
and it has agitated the rest of the goblins.
All right. Seeing this, I am going to tumble and do my darndest to draw the attention again as there's goblins moving around and whatever, and I'm just like jabbing and moving and I'm just whispering those sounds, dance party in mockery to them as I'm moving past.
Very cool. Roland, it is your turn.
I will continue to dance and move on through them and see if they'll allow it.
Yeah, you see that they're actually starting to get a little raucous with each other. But yeah, they pay no attention to you through.
Cool.
That's all?
I will, for the sake of shenanigans, I'm going to focus all of my light into my hands. And as I'm dancing, just yeah. And I'm like, and I hear dance every time that I hear dance party. I'm like, dance party, dance party,
sick moves,
big moves.
Ulthane. You are dancing with this goblin, by the way.
Okay. So I move within rhythm of as best I can, urging him closer to the fire.
This is like that stupid table.
Just
I love it.
We're just gonna move him closer to the fire. It's like, we're going to set the passion in his heart.
So at this point, you no longer have him grappled because you also don't have to move half your distance to move him in a direction he doesn't want to do. He's letting you lead, and he is moving with you. And so you're able to move the 30 feet because that's within the rhythm, but no further. So you are 30 feet closer to the fire, and next turn you might be able to get close enough to do what you want to do the most.
Yes.
And so that brings us around to the goblins. And the music screeches to a halt. And it's more heavier guitars. And this group of fun-loving ravers has quickly turned into a mosh pit. And they are throwing elbows at each other, and they are bouncing. And for the sake of it, damn it, Roland, you about get caught. You about get caught. If I could roll better, you would get caught.
Nope.
But these guys start taking licks at each other, having a good old time. Oh, man. All right, so a couple of them going in there and, acting wild and crazy, kicking their legs up and things like that. A couple of them, one of them actually kicks himself right in the face. He's having a real good time. He kicks himself right in the head. And then another one comes up to do the same move, and he shows him how to do it, and he does the kick. Doesn't kick himself in the head, but as he's kind of throwing his arms like this, he actually, on his way to the middle of this mosh pit, he takes out almost all of them. And he sits there and grows up a size. And now it's one of him, 3 around him, and then 1 being danced with. The one that's dancing will actually attempt to continue to move Ulthane in that same direction, allowing him to both use their movement. And if Ulthane will let him, he will dance himself over by the fire.
Of course I will.
Very cool. Jules, you are now faced with only 4, 3 little ones and a big one.
All right. Well, I continue to dance and move. And I'm going to unleash a whisper. Actually, no, it's going to be more like a whoop, whoop, at this large one. Can he please make me a wisdom saving throw?
I'm actually going to do it with disadvantage. He fails.
Right on. So same thing. So let's do this. So this is 12 points of psychic damage to him.
So how does he drop?
All right, yeah. As I sort of move around, because I can do that without getting attacked, because apparently I'm awesome. Whoop, whoop. And he raises his arms. Whoop, 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 whoop. And then he looks and he just sees something. And he perhaps it's his master or someone he's petrified of, but he just sees something else. And he just falls over himself to get away. And he's like running, and he runs right through all of these ravers who are punching into the air. Boom, boom, boom. And he just runs right through and just bum, 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 bum. All of these punches just land on him and he just face bombs into the ground.
Nice, yeah, as he finally comes out the other side, you see him fall over. And when he lands, he actually shrinks back down to his regular size.
Right on.
Anything else, Jules?
No, I'm just dancing around and doing that.
Having a good time at the party. Cool. Roland.
Okay. There's still 3 over there by Jules.
I don't think Jules actually moved over into it, but yeah, there are 3 close to Jules.
Okay. Moshing with everybody now. And I'm like, I'm that kid who's never been to a rock concert, but all I do is throw up the rock and roll sign and just kind of jump around. Yeah. Jostled around, bumped into real hard. Finally get out of this mosh pit. And now I'm outside of the mosh pit just jumping away with the still just like they're not paying any attention to me. Just dance! Just dance! And as I continue just to move away from everybody, there's that one guy in black, red, and blue hopping around.
And you hear that voice say, "That's sick!"
That's sick! As I'm still repeating what, like, yeah, I'm cool.
And Roland, you grow a size. You grow a foot.
I'll keep doing it. I'm excited.
All right, Ulthane, you are by the fire, and you have a friend.
Well, I'm going to launch him into the fire.
All right.
Start the fire.
So tell me how you put him into the fire.
Well, when we were dancing and everything, you know that part where you like fling your partner out and your partner like spins around?
I absolutely do.
So the whole thing kind of makes him kind of angled in that direction, and he kind of like just let him goes out. The goblin lost in the moment, you know. Yeah.
Cool. Because it's part of the dance, I'm not even going to attempt to deny that. That's going to happen. So you toss him into the fire, and again, he kind of hits the first time, and he reels a little bit, but this one after hitting it and being set on fire, he kind of lands down at the ground and he's not moving.
All right. Well, so
You do still have your move if you like.
I'm going to go help Jules because there's a big one and a little one on him. I'm going to go help him.
And so the other three are still moshing out because the music didn't stop. Let's see. So one of them hits another one. We're down to 2. And then the last one misses as well. So there are 2 of them, and they're just kind of standing there going crazy, and then they realize that they're not standing in a circle anymore. And as soon as that happens, the lights kind of come up back to the way it was, and that driving bass club sound starts up again. Jules.
I will. I'll move up and try to strike one with my rapier. All the time to the beat. Ooh. I only got a 13.
That hits.
Okay. For 9 points of piercing damage.
Ooh. All right, so one of them drops.
And sure. Yeah, so what this is, totally gonna do this. It's a goblin, right? It's small. So I'm moving to the beat, and I dip at the last moment and just strike upwards with my rapier, just shish kebabbing it, and I raise it into the air, and I use him as a flag as I'm moving around and dancing to the beat.
You're waving. You took your shirt off and you're spinning it around your head.
North Carolina. All right, Roland. There is 1 left.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm slowly gonna, with my other hand. I realize we've changed, and so I go back to, and I'll do that, moving my way closer to this guy, and then in one move, draw and slice. And now and then I'll have my sword in my hand still there.
God. Roll to hit.
That's 16 on the dice.
That'll hit.
And it's a 1 on the die there, so it's 3 whole piercing damage.
Yeah, as soon as you hit it, you caught him in just the right spot. Your flailing gets him, and he falls. And as soon as he falls, the moment he lands on the ground, the beat stops. And a voice comes on and says, "Awesome!
Awesome!
Round 3."
My arms fall dejected.
The lights come on, and now this time, the moon, the light, everything in this clearing, it just goes super black. There are 2 sources of light, the campfire and Roland.
Then I'll let my whole body take back over on the light.
So even more Roland. And the voice comes on. That says, bros, you got to get to go. And it cuts out. And that was, oh no. You don't have to play round 3. That was delicious. You guys are quite the party people, I think. Yeah. Ooh.
We are a party.
The party people.
Da, 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 da.
This is what we're going to do now. You don't have to play round 3 unless you'd like to dance some more or throw some more goblins in the fire.
At which point my head goes, and I'm just shaking my head vehemently at whole thing. No, I'm tired.
No. Well, then before you lie 3 paths, take whichever you choose. But be sure to not be late, because you were invited to the party.
Hmm.
I look at the other ones and I says, a path. Old thing just looks at the fire and then looks at the goblin and go, "You lucky bastard!" And he walks. He says, He says, "What's stopping us from going through the forest?"
Well, just for a moment, remember that we have 3 friends who did not show up with us, and there are 3 paths. And somehow we just heard Craig say we have to get to. I assume that means Gardain.
Yeah, but which one is Gardain?
Gardain is your brother.
No. I mean, he got stops. He goes, path is to Gardain, is what I mean.
I don't know. Do you have? Maybe you have that. You and your brother. Can you feel him? You know, brothers have that sometimes.
I look at him. I says, it's okay, Roland. I get what you mean. I go, all right, hold on. I take a sip of. He reaches in his backpack, takes out his cask again. He goes, let me get some sensing medicine.
I'm also, if there's a check involved here, I would love to help you. So I will give aid if I am able.
I go, if they took my brother alive, that means they're going to have to fight him. So that means he's not going to go peacefully into the good night. And I'm going to see if I can't. So wait. The 3 paths, right?
Yep,
Each
left
one
to
of
right.
them.
Yep.
Each one of them had a particular dance. What was the
They
dance?
did. There was a running man to the left, the sprinkler to the right, and a trust fall in front of you.
I go to the trust fall. Screw it. I say this way.
All right.
That's
Just trust in him.
That's what my buzz is telling me anyway.
He knows his brother better than any of us, so.
Oh my. Might I suggest trust falling onto the path?
I trust falling into my instincts leading me to the correct path.
I'm excited to see the results of this.
I am too. Well, Clyde, I got your character killed. Sorry.
We'll see.
We'll see.
So I go. I say we go this way.
Are we all going?
Yep.
I will walk beside him and trust fall with him.
Jules, are you catching either of these trust fallers?
So they're just falling, are they?
They're just doing
Is
a
that
trust
what's
fall,
happening?
just falling backwards, expecting someone to catch them.
Well, I can't catch both of them.
No, you can't.
I believe you can. I am not as heavy.
Yeah, I would not try to catch the Dragonborn or dwarf as dwarf. So yes, I will try to catch Roland.
Yay!
You easily catch Roland. Now, Eric, did you actually trust fall, or is this something Roland made up?
Well, I was assuming it was a path.
It is a path.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I'm going down the path. I mean, you know.
All right.
Like,
so,
I'm just saying, like, Ulthane is just like,
Oh,
so you get there and you kind of get to the breach of the path and everything like that. And you look to the other two and you're like, yeah. And Roland turns around and puts his hands over his chest, and he just starts to tip backwards, and you just walk right through. And Jules goes over there and catches him.
the path opens up because I did that. Just want you to know that.
Roland's like, well, it's a trust fall. Okay, that's good. I believe. It just falls back. It's just like, I believe. I do believe.
I do believe in things.
And so you guys are walking down this path for a little bit. It looks very similar. As soon as everybody gets through onto this path, behind you, the bushes grow up and kind of block leaving the same way that you came. But you walk a little further until you get to what looks like a small clutch of buildings, houses, one-room homes. They're small, sheds almost. But there are three of them. One on the left, one on the right, one straight ahead. And they're all within, there might be 20 feet between them.
So Ulthane looks. He goes,
So they're shed-like houses.
Yep. And they each have 2 torches around the doors.
Are the torches lit?
Yes.
Okay. Huh.
how many buildings are there? Like exactly
3.
3. Well, I look at Roland, I look at Jewel. I says, I'll take one, you guys take one, and see what's in these houses.
I do not think that is wise. How about one person opens the door while one person readies to hit whatever may come out or shoot what may come out? Yes. And then if for some reason something comes out of one of the other huts while we are all here, at least we're all together.
Ulthane looks at him and goes, I like that idea. Good job. I like that idea. Good job. Okay. Good.
At praise from a teammate, you watch me get a little giddy.
Do keep in mind, Ulthane might be a little tipsy, just saying. I like it.
I think it needs to be kept this tipsy then.
So Ulthane walks over to the door, like the nearest door, and he looks at the other people, raising his shield up, his warhammer in hand, and he looks to the other people to see if they're ready.
I nod at him, and I crank up the brightness. Effectively not really doing anything, but it sounds cool. Yeah, I've got my crossbow ready. I'll open the door if you don't want to, Jules. If
I
you
don't mind.
if you'd rather shoot the crossbow and I hand you my crossbow or hold it out there.
Is it just a light crossbow?
Just a light crossbow.
Sure. I think I have proficiency in a light crossbow.
It's a simple weapon.
In that case, sure. Yes, I'll do that.
All right then.
And as you guys are going and preparing to open this door, you hear bong, 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 bong.
I kicked the door open. Like just full blown.
When he kicks the door open, my first thought is shit, and I draw my sword because I just gave away my crossbow.
So inside Ulthane, you see a bed. It's empty.
Huh. Well, is there anything here? I should say.
It's completely empty other than the bed.
Okay. Old thing turns around, goes, "There's nothing in here. We shall move to the next house."
Can I
Was it-
investigate real quick?
Sure.
Oh, that's fine.
16.
There is a pillow with a pillowcase. No sheet. It seems to be, this bed is almost made out of, it's a little lumpy. But it doesn't seem unnatural.
Well, with that, I moved to the nearest house or nearest hut, and again, gives them a moment to set up, and kicks the damn door open. Sorry, I'm not much for subtlety. I'm not a rogue.
As soon as you kick the door open, inside you see a bed and nothing else.
Old thing kind of like, oh. So he walks like old thing looks at him and goes, "It's a bed sheet." And I'm guessing the same thing as it was the other one. So I let Roland, because I know he's interested in gazing upon the house, or just perspective inside.
Yeah, 7.
It seems very similar to the last place. No pillowcase, though.
Nope.
Wow, this is a nice hut.
This place is very likely. I assume that this one's not used because of this.
I look
Well-
around for the source of the bell.
There does not seem to be a source present.
Okay.
If you'd like, you know what? Make a wisdom check. Let's do that.
Wisdom check. Alright.
You could do investigation if you'd like.
Oh, well, that's heaps better for me. But investigation 14.
So since you knew it was a bell, what you're trying to do is figure out the source of the bell or the purpose of the bell.
Correct.
When you started, you had 5 days. It had only gonged 4 times.
Oh.
And so you can make that connection.
Okay. I say we're losing time. I believe that told us that there's only 4 days left. Maybe there's a day per round. I don't know, like per challenge, but that does not bode well.
Not at all.
Well, with that old thing, goes to the next hut and just kicks it open. Doesn't even give people time to say, just kicks it open.
Inside, you see a bed and nothing else.
This time, no pillow or pillowcase.
Well, then he kind of he says, "I grow tired of this witch's games." So one has no pillow, one has no pillow or pillow casings or anything, right?
Sure.
The other one. So, what one bed is missing, the other ones have.
So they all have beds. They all have mattresses. They all have, well, two of them have pillows. One of them has a pillowcase.
Huh. All right. So,
I look in my book and see if I can find any information about things that could possibly be things that this woman has done before.
And so as you turn to that book and you start kind of reading thoroughly through it, it's almost as if this book recognizes that you're reading this thoroughly, and you feel the book gain a few pages. And as you finish a page and turn, there's an additional page, more information. And as you kind of flip through a couple more information. What you find that is productive here, actually, you know what? Make a history check for me.
All right. This is my best skill.
And it's out of the book, so I think you have advantage, right?
I do.
Excellent.
19.
Cool. So you see in here that kind of the one outlier characteristic of Arlet is, she's terrible. She's got this beef with Uther, but it's never over for her. So there are odd times that she seems merciful. And you think maybe this isn't a trap.
I go into the first building and I lie down on the bed. It's not a trap, guys. It's not. Just go with it. It's not a trap.
Ooh, he's just gonna sleep on the party. Don't sleep on the party.
Old Vane looks at the other guys, and he says, I think I've partied enough. If my brother is to meet the Allfather, then he'll meet the Allfather. And he goes in, sits on a bed, lays down. He says, I'm not playing your game anymore.
Which building do you go to?
The one with a pillowcase on it. Screw it.
So I imagine that one's probably occupied, as Jules. I can't ever see Jules not laying down on a pillowcase.
Well, once he walks, he sees Jules go into the one. He'll go into the one that Jules ain't in,
Okay.
which is one of the random other two.
Yeah. So which one? There's one.
The middle one.
Okay. So
The
the one
middle
without the pillowcase.
Yeah.
Cool. And he said, "Ooh, tough guy."
After watching them both walk into the huts, and I'm left alone, I shrug, and I'll make my way to the other hut, making my own beat.
So I know for a fact that Jules is laid down.
Yeah.
Ulthane, you went into the house next. What are you doing?
I'm going to do the worst thing that this girl is going to make Ulthane do. I sleep my buzz off.
Okay, so you lay down. Roland.
I will sit down on the bed rather than lay down and go to trance.
And as soon as you do that, as soon as you hit your trance before laying down, oh my, the poor one, no pillow, no case. He's so sad and alone and alone. And the appropriate amount of hours pass, and you all rise.
Cool. I'll be the first one up because I think that's time, and I will go check on the other guys to make sure they're still sleeping.
Yep, the other two are still asleep. How, if anything, are you going to pass your additional hours?
Out of my bag, I pull out my sewing kit again, and I will take off my pants and begin to.
I take off my pants.
Now it's a real party.
And the whole time, like, I really, as I'm sewing, just sewing. And yep.
So a few hours pass. The other two, you are awoken by a bong, bong, bong.
Wow.
Wake up and I'm like, and I look. First thing I do is open my book and I write a note in the place where it says that sometimes she's merciful, and I say, and sometimes she's not.
It's a two-way mercy, I guess. It's merciful to us, but it's making it more difficult for Uther.
And so do you walk out of your hovel?
I've already done.
Yeah. So as soon as the last one of you, go ahead, sorry.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
As soon as the last one steps out, you guys hear this cranking sound. And then you hear kind of this crash and drop coming from each of the buildings. And as you go back to open the door to maybe check it out, the door flies open and there's these three little gnomes, and they all have this enormous piece of cake. And they carry it over, and they all kind of look at one another after kind of meeting in the middle. And they sit there and they look at each other, and each one cakes the one to the left of them. And as soon as that happens, it kind of explodes in this, cake and icing, glitter, and everything. And when the debris settles, there's a table, and on it is a cake. And after a minute of nothing happening, the voice says, "Well, now I wanted you to have some cake in case you did miss the party."
I want to leave the cake and walk on. That's creepy.
There is no path open.
I pull out a knife and a fork, and I sit down at the table, and I begin to cut the cake.
And it's perfect. You make your cut and you slice out. Are you cutting the entire cake or just yourself a piece?
I would love to cut it into eighths, please.
Cool. So yeah, you cut across and it's smooth. You cut across and it's smooth. You do this 2 more times.
I take a big, long, deep whiff to see what flavor that cake is.
Raspberry is the smell you're getting. You can tell looking at your knife that it's chocolate and the icing is white.
Oh.
You guys sitting here looking at a cake.
Walk good. Nobody gives me the raspberry. I mean, and the cake is a lie. That's where I'm getting stuck. Fine, I'll stick my finger in it and try it.
Okay. All right, so you try it. Make a charisma save.
Yeah. This is everything that I ever hoped to be. Eight.
8?
18.
Oh. So this is some bomb-ass cake. It takes everything you have to not just keep eating it. But it is good.
Okay. Well, I let everybody know that this cake is bomb ass.
Probably a term that you have not heard Roland use and still have not heard him use appropriately.
Bro, I think it needs something to do with gas.
This cake is bomb ass.
I stress the wrong syllable as I try out the word.
Old thing looks at the cake and just like, I hate sweets.
Well, unfortunately, for his 18th birthday, Esmeralda made Jules a raspberry cake. And Jules remembers that it was one of the best things that he's ever tasted.
Jules.
So he grabs himself an entire slice and he just chows down.
All right, make a charisma save.
I'm a bard. Can I make this with disadvantage since I'm eating quite a lot?
Sure. Yeah. Self-imposed disadvantage. I'm fine with that.
All right. Because otherwise, yeah, that's better. All right. So I got a 10.
Okay. So with a 10, you sit there and you very nicely, have a big piece of cake and you eat it with a fork. And you take a couple of bites, and then everybody else, you see him kind of sit there and hold the fork in his mouth for a second. And he drops the fork and grabs one of the other complete pieces. Now, Jules still has his fancy gloves on, I imagine.
Oh, yeah.
This is extremely out of character as he grabs this thing and just starts eating it and shoveling it and getting a bunch of it like on his face and on his clothes. And he goes and he grabs.
I always eat things with a knife and fork, by the way. So yes.
So he goes and he grabs another piece and he starts to eat it, and he gets about halfway through and then stops moving with the cake like just jammed in his face.
Committing this image to memory.
This must be a bomb-ass cake.
So he's stopped moving?
Yeah, he's sitting there eating, and he's just kind of like a picture. He just stopped in the middle of what he was doing. Even the cake that maybe was getting on him and looks like it should be rolling off is frozen.
And how do we get past this issue? I'm going to go try to shake him and get him out of that cake stupor.
So you go over there and you can grab him, but nothing, like even if you tried to move his arm, it's not moving, but you can move him as a whole.
Oh. Well, then I will try to get him away from the cake.
Okay. Yeah, he's not resisting.
I'll pull out a water skin and pour some down his mouth.
So you can't. It's his mouth is full of cake. Sorry?
Can I reach into his mouth?
Yeah, I'll say he's shoveling this cake into his gullet enough that his mouth is open wide.
Then I would like to dig that cake out of his mouth.
Okay. As you pull the cake out of his mouth, you kind of look at your hands, and it's this like black sludge.
That I will keep digging it out then.
Cool. Yeah, you have. You believe anyway. There's very little cake in his mouth.
I don't have anything to help him.
Ulthane, can you think of anything?
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jules. Happy birthday to you.
So he's just eating cake, or is it like he's frozen?
He's not moving, but he's in the act of eating cake.
I knocked the rest of the cake on the floor.
Okay.
So that way you can't eat any more cake.
Yeah, as soon as it lands on the ground, it kind of lands upside down and it splats. And instead of looking like a cake, it's kind of got that black, murky sludge look to it.
I look back at Roland. I says, "This is why I don't eat candy. This is why I don't eat sweets."
Okay.
I reach in. I take out one of my emergency flask, and I look at Roland. I says, "We're gonna have to fight the effect."
Hold on real quick. Hold on. And I'll look over at Jules and using telepathy, I'm sending him mentally, is there anything you can do? Like trying to bypass all the other senses to get to his brain to see if there's anything.
Jules, you hear this? All you can feel, Jules, is first of all this yearning for that delicious, delicious cake. But behind that, your body is starting to feel weak.
Okay. And I can't move or speak. Can I grunt?
Yes.
Okay. I grunt.
Okay. How do we help you?
So I have this yearning for cake, and my body feels weak, and I can cognize that. So do I have full mind function?
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
All right. Um, I don't know how to respond to that question. I can grunt. Can't move. I don't know. Sorry.
I can't heal.
As a little bit of time passes, you guys, Roland and Ulthane, you guys start to see the clothes that normally were so exact, so perfect, seem to be a little bit more billowy. His face becomes more gaunt. And Jules, you are feeling weaker.
Okay, so I'm going to grunt as powerfully as I can, and then I'm going to grunt in a way that is less strong.
Yeah.
You guys can make an insight check to see if you know what that means.
I'm all over it. Sweet. I actually am all over it. It's a 16 on the die. So, 19.
So with the 19, I'd say because of his excellent grunting and your unique problem-solving abilities, perhaps the look that you see is a feeling that he is also experiencing.
He is withering. Like he's dying. Crap. Paladin.
The whole thing looks at me and goes, he's what?
He's dying.
Well, Ulthane, he goes up to him and he says, what I'm about to do, I hope he can forgive me. I kind of turn him over. Is he setting up or is he on the ground?
He's actually probably more than anything, he's kind of leaned over as if he was leaning over the table.
Okay. All right. So what? Old Thane looks at Roland. He says, "So if it's this black substance, we have to get it out of him."
I've dug everything out of his mouth.
Old Thane, he says, "There is another way." Says, "We're gonna have to pin him down, and I'm gonna have to run my finger down his throat." Because no, because I tell him, I says, because I have no means. My brother is more resilient of knowing how to fix that kind of stuff than myself. So without his guidance of the proper technique, well, yeah, but does it get rid of it though? I don't think I'm.
Point and try.
Because I do not think I'm far enough up the. Let's see here. How does it play?
I'll check for you. Oh, you got it.
Can spend in excess of 5 to cure one. Oh, okay. All right, cool. All right, well, then I'm going to expend 5 points of my thing to cure. I'm guessing it's a poison.
I'm not going to tell you.
You can cure multiple diseases. Damn it. Alright, screw it. I'll spend 10 and I'll neutralize a nausea or poison.
Excellent. As soon as you touch him and do that, Jules, you kind of snap to it. Your desire for cake is gone, but you are filthy. You are still gaunt and still skinny. You personally would probably do some of your standard mannerisms and realize that under your clothes you've lost a lot of weight. It's that all cake diet.
I say, well, I wanted to lose a few pounds, but not like this.
Old Thing says, well, before I lost my good senses, Drunkard told me to run my fingers down your throat, but,
Oh, that was you.
No, I said drunkard, meaning myself. Before I actually came to my good senses. I came to my good senses.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time I've had something of that shape in my mouth.
Old thing. You know that look like like that blank expression is just like I need an adult. I need a taller person.
Wolfane, I don't know what he means.
I look at him, I go, good, you don't want to know.
No, yes I do. This is me you're talking to. Of course I want to know.
I told him, I says, one day we can discuss it, but I think more pressing matters are ahead.
Write it on a piece of paper for him.
I can't find it. I don't know.
I just write on the piece of paper, I like the D, and hand it to him.
Yeah, he does.
Well, wait. So are you letterist towards ABC?
That deserves a reward. and behind you, 3 more paths open up. But this time, they're all very close together. One straight ahead, one to the northwest, and another to the northeast.
Which way were we currently going?
You had been going north.
So there's only one north trail, right?
One true north, yes.
I look at the other ones. I said, we've been going north all this time. Might as well continue. I said, unless somebody else got a better idea.
You guys are able to lead in the moment because I'm still trying to figure out what the D is.
Yeah.
I am literally rotating through all of my knowledge, going dogs, dinosaurs, disgruntled people.
No. Old thing just pats him on the back. He goes, he loves the letter D. Let's just say he's a D fan.
D.
Old thing.
Demons?
Old thing is not helping him on this.
Are you guys going to choose one or just stand around all day?
Old thing holds his finger up like one moment.
There's a party. Jules will love it.
I bet he will.
Dress up.
He will.
He loves dress up parties.
Yeah, that's the one.
Old thing for the life of him, he knows from what he has encountered with Roland, he realizes he's going to have to push Roland along, or he's just going to stand back the whole time going. He loves D. Does that mean he likes dinosaurs?
The dirty deed. Everyone knows.
Or he likes to play dress up.
Maybe just figuring this out as we walk along.
or maybe he's like the old thing. He likes to get drunk. Or maybe it's he likes dwarves. Why would he like dwarves?
We take the north path.
Yeah. Because I'm getting too far gone into this myself. Moving along, go north.
As you guys step off into that path, same thing happens behind you. The trees and bramble kind of cover up your way out. But before you, it's not a long path. As soon as the bramble kind of covers over, in front of you, great lights shine on a well. That is a water well. And it's the only thing you can see.
What's in the well?
I'll shoot a bolt down the well.
You eventually, it flies for a while, and then you hear
water. Great. Move on.
This is a tighter circle. No exit path.
About how big is the opening to the well?
It's big enough that you'd be able to fit through it.
Is there a rope attached to a way to lower a bucket?
No.
Instantly, we think to drop the dwarf in the bucket. Screw it, let's do it. So there's no rope, right?
Nope.
Old thing sets his backpack back down, and he goes, "You're going to use this to climb something else." He takes a grappling hook and places it on the side of the well. Does the side of the well look sturdy, like rock formation and all that good stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely work stone.
Okay, so I hooked the grappling hook down in there on the side of it. Old thing looks at him and says, "I'll be right back."
Meanwhile, while he's doing that, Jules will tie a bucket to a rope with a knot and wait his turn.
Old thing will, if I can, I'll use the side. I'll slip the chain through his belt to use it kind of like as a, so he could actually, kind of descend
Repel.
down a little bit easier. Yeah, repel. Thank you.
Sure.
Repel down.
Yeah, make an athletics with advantage.
Ooh, advantage. That is a 15.
Cool. Yeah. You make it a lot easier. How far down are you going?
Until I come to water, I would say, or if I touch the bottom, whatever comes first, or as far down as I can go.
Cool. So when you get down, you can see the water with your foot. It's not very deep, but out in front of you, you can see a path and a well-lit wooden doorway.
Okay, so judging by the do I actually see the chain like in the water, like almost like coiled around the, in the water to show that the chain is touching the ground or something?
You can actually see the feathers from the arrow that it's sticking up. This water isn't much more than maybe, a foot, 2 feet deep.
Okay. Old thing will look up and he calls out that, there's a door down here. It looks safe. Before he actually is going to okay them to, to come on down, he'll like, get in the water and look around, kind of make sure that, scouring around that it is indeed safe.
Yeah, this isn't just a cave. This definitely looks like a passageway.
Okay. Old thing will, he calls up, he'll kind of like yank on the chain, or, to show, instead of just yelling up because he doesn't know what all's here. He kind of like, yanks on the chain as a sign of saying, come on, guys. Come on, guys.
Okay.
All right. Go down.
Cool. Yeah, you all get down to the bottom of the well and you kind of get your faculties back together and you see this doorway at the end of the hall. And as you guys start to approach it, you see some weird things. The walls are fine. The floor is fine. The ceiling's fine. The door itself, it has a little slot that is covered right now by wood. You guys, being from West Rock, know that that's one of the little open it up, tell me the password, close it type things. And it's got no handle on it. And as you get closer to it, you finally all get up to it. And maybe even right as you're about to knock, you hear that voice. Boy, you're getting close, but you're sure running out of time. Bong, bong. And that's where we're going to end.
Cool.
So I appreciate everybody playing. We will pick up at the bottom of a well or outside of a doorway. Next time we play, hopefully in 2 weeks, should be good to go. Again, I'm Caleb. Thanks for watching if you watched. Thanks for playing since you guys played. And hopefully soon we'll be able to save my favorite character in this game, Craig.
Well, I'm hoping to save my brother.
Whatever. So again, thanks for playing, guys. We'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, man.